Buonasera, come abbiamo detto, se venite avanti anche chi sta dietro siamo più contenti, siamo più raccolti visto che la sala non è piena, se vi va di venire avanti. Tanto siamo in pochi, almeno stiamo...
Sì, anche perché insomma così facciamo un po' più
Esattamente. A posto, indifferita di qualche secondo.
Così possono fare i bimbi. Diciamo delle cose scomode.
Allora, la sezione Tutti a scuola è stata introdotta quest'anno all'interno del Festival del giornalismo perché, insomma, ne abbiamo parlato con Arianna e ci sembrava giusto introdurre alcune tematiche legate alla media literacy e quindi a quello che significa oggi navigare in modo consapevole e costruttivo nella rete. Per questo abbiamo anche invitato Antonella perché comunque riteniamo che uno dei temi, diciamo, in questo momento determinanti sia quello di capire anche cosa sta succedendo intorno al mondo delle notizie falsificate rispetto al tema dei rifugiati e degli immigrati. Già di per sé c'è un grande misunderstanding su rifugiati e immigrati, poi Antonella ci racconta un pochino meglio tutto il lavoro che loro fanno, che è un lavoro pazzesco anche rispetto al tema appunto del dato oggettivo e non del dato distorto. Le dicevo che proprio 2 giorni fa è uscito sul Corriere dell'Umbria un articolo in cui si parlava di migranti, che il 74% di rumeni o extracomunitari sembra che siano i delinquenti umbri. Questo dato non si sa da dove viene fuori, però insomma, quindi è ovvio che sia in questo momento importantissimo parlarne soprattutto con i ragazzi nelle scuole e che gli insegnanti sappiano anche come trattare questi argomenti. Per cui adesso passo la parola a Antonella, che ringrazio ancora.
Bene. Allora, innanzitutto grazie a Giulia, grazie al festival e grazie a voi per essere qui. Io penso, allora intanto mi presento, io mi chiamo Antonella Napolitano, sono la responsabile comunicazione di CILD, che è la coalizione italiana per le libertà e i diritti civili. È una rete di organizzazioni che si occupa di diritti umani e che però cerca anche di lavorare sul fronte dell'informazione, perché ci rendiamo conto che per una serie di motivi che vengono analizzati variamente negli incontri del festival, c'è una mancanza di informazioni su questo tema e una mancanza di strumenti per comprendere fenomeni complessi come quelli legati ai diritti umani. Sicuramente il tema della migrazione è il tema che ci prende, diciamo, molto, diciamo, in termini di tempo e di lavoro. Poi sia noi che le nostre organizzazioni ci occupiamo anche di altri temi, di diritti LGBT, di carcere, di diritti digitali, quindi poi se foste interessati, insomma, anche dopo siamo, diciamo, disponibili, insomma, molto a parlarne con voi. La migrazione però è un tema cruciale ovviamente per l'Italia, non vi dico niente di nuovo, ed è il motivo per cui noi proprio nei primi passi, nel nostro primo anno di attività, noi siamo nati nel 2014, abbiamo deciso di creare il progetto Open Migration, di cui vi parlerò e poi insomma comparirà sullo schermo. Open Migration appunto nasce alla fine del 2015, quindi alla fine dell'anno che ha portato il maggior flusso di persone in Europa in generale, e nasce dall'idea che noi abbiamo, diciamo, dall'esigenza che noi abbiamo sentito di parlare di migrazione partendo da dati di fatto. Quello che noi vedevamo in come i media trattavano il tema era un'analisi molto superficiale, un concentrarsi sul fattore, diciamo, puramente visivo ed emotivo, e fondamentalmente un dibattito in cui chiunque poteva dire numeri a caso, fatti non verificati, senza una vera verifica e senza gli strumenti per capire un fenomeno che, come ho detto, insomma, è un fenomeno complesso, non c'è solo gli arrivi, c'è il tema dell'accoglienza, c'è il tema da dove queste persone vengono, la protezione a cui hanno diritto, i paesi di provenienza, le diverse situazioni. Tutto questo veniva appiattito a nostro parere, in una modalità che non dava davvero gli strumenti alle persone per capire, e che faceva, insomma, anche qui non vi dico niente di nuovo, l'abbiamo visto in questi anni, faceva molta leva sul sensazionalismo, sulla rabbia delle persone e anche sul mettere contro, nel fare un po' la guerra tra poveri, quindi mettere un po' quasi mettere in alternativa gli italiani bisognosi, lo abbiamo visto man mano, e gli stranieri che arrivano. Dal momento che ci rendevamo conto che una piccola organizzazione non ha gli strumenti mediatici per fare da controparte alla politica e ai grandi media, abbiamo deciso di partire dagli strumenti, di partire dai dati, di partire da quello che ci sembrava potesse dare una comprensione del fenomeno. E quindi abbiamo creato Open Migration. Open Migration, che è un piccolissimo, noi abbiamo uno staff veramente molto ridotto, sito di informazione in cui trovate articoli, come vedete adesso, questa tanto per mostrarvi l'home page. Sono una serie di 2 articoli che abbiamo fatto sul caso Open Arms, la nave dell'ONG spagnola che è stata sequestrata. Questo più è un aspetto, diciamo, di giornalismo investigativo, per cui siamo andati a leggere le carte del GIP che ha ordinato il sequestro, insomma tutta la vicenda. Analisi come questa, quindi sull'accordo UE-Turchia, azione, diciamo, legale. Questo in realtà è un dossier che è stato realizzato dai nostri avvocati di CILD sull'hotspot di Lampedusa, che siamo riusciti a far chiudere almeno temporaneamente per via delle condizioni davvero invivibili delle persone che ci si trovavano. Quindi, diciamo, analisi poi, diciamo, legislative, analisi dei paesi di provenienza, questa è la frontiera tra Niger e Libia, e gli strumenti. Gli strumenti, abbiamo deciso di partire dai dati per creare una base condivisa. Ecco, questo è diciamo un po' il nostro punto di partenza. Stiamo parlando di un fenomeno e stiamo parlando di cioè in cui sembra non esserci un punto di partenza comune. Tu hai i tuoi numeri, io ho i miei. Tu hai i tuoi fatti, io i miei, che è un po', diciamo, anche un grande tema più ampio, diciamo, di cui si sta parlando molto in questo periodo. Quindi noi abbiamo deciso di partire dai dati, da qualcosa di oggettivo, di non così semplice, perché poi i dati non sono la fine della storia, ma vanno letti, interpretati e vanno capiti. Faremo poi degli esempi, però con delle fonti condivise, quindi il numero degli arrivi. Abbiamo scelto delle fonti che noi ritenevamo affidabili e che sono poi le fonti che danno, diciamo, la misura internazionali, e abbiamo lavorato per creare delle visualizzazioni che permettessero la comprensione, diciamo, di questo fenomeno. Per esempio, questo che vi faccio vedere adesso, se guardate questo riquadro, è diciamo, i flussi, diciamo, degli arrivi a partire dal 2014 fino, diciamo, insomma, ai mesi più recenti, con questa visualizzazione dinamica che fa ingrandire, diciamo, questi pallini gialli a seconda, diciamo, dei numeri, dei flussi di numeri. Come vedete qui, metà del 2015 la Grecia, che diventa enorme, poi si ritorna in realtà sull'Italia, con appunto, questi pallini diventano, insomma, comunque più piccoli, più grandi d'estate, e così via, diciamo. Questo tutto basato sui numeri. Questo in realtà lo trovate nella home page, ma c'è poi una dashboard, diciamo, più articolata, che quindi ha come fonti UNHCR per gli arrivi, Eurostat per le percentuali dei migranti rispetto alla popolazione. Qui vedete, diciamo, lavoriamo un po' anche con la visualizzazione, quindi anche visualizzazioni dinamiche, quindi questi sono i paesi di partenza e questi sono i paesi di arrivo, quindi anche per permettere, diciamo, un'analisi poi a seconda, diciamo, dell'interesse della persona, quindi è tutto quanto utilizzabile. Questo per esempio è un lavoro che abbiamo fatto sulle origini in modo, cioè, uno spettro più ampio, quindi partiamo dal 2001 al 2016, che per esempio questo è un modo per tracciare un po' la storia recente delle migrazioni, anche per uscire un po' dall'idea che il fenomeno migratorio sia iniziato 3-4 anni fa. In realtà, oltre ad essere, diciamo, parte della storia dell'umanità, il fenomeno migratorio, in realtà noi stessi come Italia, adesso qui vedo gente molto giovane, però gli anni 90, la migrazione dall'Albania, quello che arrivava comunque dopo la guerra dei Balcani, insomma, abbiamo fatto delle scelte ovviamente, diciamo, però partendo da dati che sono, e questo è un punto fondamentale, direttamente accessibili, cioè noi non indichiamo solo la fonte, ma mettiamo anche i link all'origine dei dati, quindi ai database. Noi non produciamo dati, noi ci rifacciamo le fonti ufficiali, e questo è il primo punto, secondo me, di cui parlare oggi, quindi le fonti. Perché ovviamente soprattutto in un momento storico in cui l'espressione fake news viene usata e abusata, è molto facile che anche quando si parla di numeri ci sia, diciamo, una lotta proprio sulle fonti, sui punti di partenza. Quindi questo sicuramente, e anche, ecco, un po' proprio nella nostra missione, nel modo in cui noi lavoriamo, c'è l'idea che non ci si debba fidare di noi perché ve lo diciamo, poi uno, diciamo, la credibilità se la costruisce ovviamente, ma si può andare a verificare. Quindi noi abbiamo fatto questa visualizzazione, abbiamo fatto queste scelte, però le fonti ci sono, si possono guardare, si possono, diciamo, fruire e si può capire. Poi, diciamo, se siete interessati al filone data journalist, qui al festival c'è, insomma, un'ampissima scelta, ed è una cosa che sta iniziando, diciamo, in ritardo anche nei giornali italiani, o soprattutto in iniziative abbastanza innovative. Quindi il punto di partenza è questo. Allo stesso tempo abbiamo sentito che oltre a questo dovevamo un po' lavorare anche sul portare questi temi partendo un po' dalle basi, ed è il motivo per cui guardando qui il nostro menu, queste sono tutte infografiche interattive, quindi poi, insomma, se siete interessati vi invito a guardare, perché sono infografiche che si aggiornano automaticamente con, insomma, le API, poi, insomma, sull'aspetto tecnico, insomma, non vado molto in dettaglio sull'aspetto tecnico, e che però sono dinamiche. Quindi, per esempio, io posso decidere di vedere qui, se voglio vedere il paese che mi interessa è la Grecia, quindi vengono, diciamo, dinamicamente utilizzate, quindi si possono poi usare. Quindi, dicevo, gli strumenti. E per questo nelle risorse trovate un glossario, perché molto spesso leggiamo sui giornali sigle che sono incomprensibili a chi non sia già addetto ai lavori, questo non solo sul tema migrazione, è una cosa che, insomma, si riscontra. C'è una sezione infografiche, in cui noi isoliamo tutta la nostra produzione di infografica come una specie di serie di fotografie che poi sono inserite nei pezzi, e la sezione fact-checking, di cui vi parlo a breve. In realtà, però, prima di proseguire vorrei fare con voi una cosa, cioè vorrei fare un brevissimo giro di chi c'è qui, e mi piacerebbe sapere chi siete e perché siete venuti qui, e se siete venuti magari con una domanda già, magari siete venuti, insomma, solo incuriositi, però immagino, perché ci sono, insomma, studenti, genitori, docenti, noi riceviamo ogni tanto delle email da insegnanti che dicono: abbiamo fatto questo progetto sulla migrazione a scuola, abbiamo usato i vostri dati, abbiamo usato le vostre infografiche, quindi, diciamo, qualcuno magari, appunto, cerca in rete e ci trova, però a me interessa capire, insomma, a maggior ragione, visto che è un workshop, mi piacerebbe capire chi siete voi, come mai siete venuti qui, e se avete già qualche domanda, diciamo, a cui magari possiamo cercare di rispondere. C'è l'altro microfono. Ma comincia tu. Tu sei obbligato perché sei un volontario, quindi non hai scelto, però.
Devo ammettere, in effetti, che non avevo molta scelta, anche se sono interessato comunque all'argomento. Non sono venuto preparato con una domanda, ecco perché sì.
Nessuno aveva compiti a casa,
no.
È giusto, se appunto mi interessa se.
No, non sapevo esattamente quindi il vostro progetto e quello che fate. Sono qui in realtà innanzitutto per sapere, più che con delle domande precise, quindi magari mi limito a passare il microfono.
C'è il tuo vicino? Anche tu liberamente obbligato, lo so.
Allora, sono qui perché collaboro spesso con con Kids Beat, lavoro con bambini e adolescenti e mi interessa capire, soprattutto da voi, come comunicare e lavorare sulla distruzione di alcuni luoghi comuni che continuano a crescere e ad aumentare all'interno delle scuole, soprattutto perché lo sto provando adesso nelle scuole superiori. Quindi come lavorare anche sul tema del luogo comune.
Io sono, ecco, la mamma, appartengo alla fascia dei genitori, sono sua madre, quindi, però sono anche una cittadina italiana, conosco il problema, lo vivo tutti i giorni perché lo viviamo comunque il confronto, ma io mi occupo di tutt'altro, lavoro in ospedale, mi occupo di nutrizione, però lei mi ha invitata, io sono venuta molto volentieri.
Noi chiaramente come associazione, come cooperativa, lavorando con i bambini e con i ragazzi, siamo interessati anche noi a capire come Chiara, come possiamo introdurre tematiche appunto sul tema migrazione, rifugiati, e come farlo però appunto partendo da dei dati che possono essere il più possibile oggettivi, fargli capire come andare a ricercare la fonte, quindi come insegnar loro a partire dalla fonte per poi arrivare anche magari a rielaborarli quei dati, però crediamo che sia importante farlo, e magari appunto anche cercando poi di spingerli a crearci una narrazione che sia però una narrazione corretta e che possa portare un valore aggiunto anche alla classe in generale.
Noi siamo qui perché stiamo facendo l'alternanza con Kids Beat e appunto in questi giorni stiamo partecipando ai vari incontri, però anche perché è un argomento di attualità e quindi è anche giusto tenersi informati e sapere quello che ci succede, insomma.
Io sono Elisa e lavoro anch'io insomma con Giulia e rispetto a queste tematiche, un po' in linea con quello che diceva anche Chiara, la curiosità è anche, o meglio il desiderio, è anche quello di muoversi con più consapevolezza nella comunicazione e nella narrazione, no? Io ad esempio ho partecipato ad altri panel in questi giorni sulla comunicazione di genere, già lì si sta sfondando un po', si stanno diffondendo delle buone pratiche, allora capire anche rispetto a quest'altra narrazione quali buone pratiche ogni cittadino anche nella propria vita quotidiana può adottare, e poi ovviamente maggior ragione per noi che lavoriamo insomma a contatto con i bambini e con i ragazzi ogni giorno.
Ciao, io sono Karen, spesso collaboro con le iniziative di Kids Beat e parlando appunto oggi con i ragazzi mi sembrava importante e interessante venire per insomma essere preparati, avendo io, cioè mi pongo sempre anche a livello umano, avendo io un nipote molto piccolo, un nipote anche un po' più grande, cioè per riuscire anche ad approcciarmi con loro nell'eventualità in cui dovessi trovarmi a rispondere a delle domande, cioè a non incappare in errori e ad essere preparata all'argomento, perché serve ed è importante esserlo soprattutto in questo momento.
Io sono Stefano, faccio parte di Kids Beat e sono qua perché mi interessa soprattutto conoscere le modalità con cui le open data vengono utilizzate.
Io sono un'insegnante, lavoro in un liceo e sono responsabile di una redazione studentesca abbastanza grande, e mi ha incuriosito questo evento perché voglio riuscire a capire come aiutare i ragazzi a tradurre in modo chiaro e anche in modo pratico, cioè con esempi e con suggerimenti che possano coinvolgere i loro coetanei, per i dati che vengono appunto, i big data, perché io sono insegnante di lettere, ho fatto giornalismo, però mi rendo conto già io che è difficile capire in un attimo cosa un grafico, cosa un un qualunque grafico, una qualunque rappresentazione possa essere, cioè spenderlo in parole semplici, in significa che, in possiamo fare questo, e i ragazzi che sono pigri o magari sono piccoli, no? A maggior ragione a volte nell'interpretazione vanno in difficoltà e poi lasciano perdere, mentre invece è una fonte irrinunciabile. Inoltre insegno geografia da quest'anno e quindi mi interessa usarlo in classe, però sono un po' sdatta, quindi ecco.
Ciao, io sono Miriam, sono una dottoressa in scienze politiche e sono qui perché un po' per cultura personale, un po' per formazione ho sempre avuto una sensibilità sul tema che mi ha portato tra l'ottobre e il novembre dell'anno scorso a tenere un corso di formazione in un istituto comprensivo in Abruzzo proprio sul tema delle migrazioni. E nel preparare il materiale didattico ho effettivamente riscontrato grosse problematiche circa dati, grafici, soprattutto a livello non dico locale ma regionale. Quindi anche la statistica delle regioni, non solo quella italiana, non solo della nazione italiana, sono effettivamente problematiche e mi interessava cercare di capire come avere più dati, perché il primo modo per togliere i luoghi comuni è far mostrare il dato oggettivo.
Ciao, io sono Francesca e sono appena arrivata oggi, ma vivo a Londra, lavoro a Londra, quindi più che altro mi interessa sapere come funziona perché spesso c'è tanta confusione e mi chiedono spesso come funziona in Italia, cosa si fa in Italia e lavorando con bambini, perché comunque sono una psicologa. Mi trovo spesso a lavorare in situazioni dove oltre un carico relativo all'esperienza della migrazione ci sono anche disabilità o in particolare problemi di autismo. Quindi credo che questo spazio che state dedicando è molto importante.
Ciao, sono Ludovico, sono un giornalista della RAI di Trieste, sono qui solo per curiosità.
Vai. Se vuoi dire qualcosa.
No, va bene, io sono
Sei
qui.
anche tu della categoria liberamente costretti? O?
No.
Okay.
Cioè, non lo so. No, sono dello staff, quindi devo stare qui, però ovviamente... No, ma è un tema sicuramente interessante. Peraltro c'è la necessità di saperlo raccontare ai ragazzi, delle medie, delle superiori, ma penso ci sia anche la necessità di saperlo raccontare agli adulti. Perché anche tramite social network vediamo che in generale la disinformazione e l'impeto, diciamo, l'istinto nel commentare o nel fare affermazioni di un certo tipo molto spesso dovrebbe essere, diciamo, mitigato da magari conoscenza di dati, insomma.
Okay. Per gli ultimi arrivati stiamo facendo un giro di chi siete, come mai siete qui, quindi anche voi se...
Io sono una ragazza del liceo e sono venuta per l'alternanza e anche per particolare curiosità dell'argomento e sono con la mia compagna che si vergogna, quindi faccio la vocalist.
Io sono Chiara, credo nei dati per motivi di lavoro, perché faccio ricercatore sociale in un istituto che si occupa di opinioni e quindi lavoro con i dati tutti i giorni, però sono anche una mamma e sono qui perché in realtà la mia speranza è che siano i giovani a credere nei fatti, posto che il mio lavoro ha dimostrato che quelli della mia età ai fatti non ci credono, preferiscono ascoltare delle balle, diciamo così, perché sono più comode, perché si fa meno fatica, perché ci si trova meglio tra simili e ci si raccontano delle cose che confortano. E quindi per me è fondamentale, anche perché così poi vado a rompere le palle ai professori dei miei figli perché usino questi dati.
Io sono Bianca, studio all'Università per Stranieri di Perugia per insegnare italiano agli stranieri e ho iniziato da 2 mesi a fare volontariato per insegnare italiano ai richiedenti asilo. Quindi ero un po' interessata proprio all'argomento anche per capire effettivamente i numeri in concreto e soprattutto dove ricercare insomma queste informazioni, dove trovare la verità insomma su questi argomenti.
Grazie, sono Silvia, lavoro nella progettazione europea e nella formazione di adulti, quindi condivido in pieno quello che è stato detto, anche se abbiamo a che fare anche con i più giovani. In particolare mi interessa per due aspetti. Abbiamo dei progetti sul contrasto all'odio online nei confronti dei migranti, dei rifugiati e quindi come diciamo anche supportare le contronarrazioni, le narrazioni positive, la comunicazione alternativa con dei dati e quindi magari esempi, capire, confrontarci. E l'altra cosa è invece, penso che è una competenza professionale sempre più importante, quella di conoscere i dati, saper usare i dati proprio dal punto di vista veramente di dove ci si informa, come si fanno delle statistiche, quello che diceva la collega che è una professionista, quindi. E lo vedo non solo in questo tema, ma anche è stato citato il tema di genere, anche su quello siamo impegnati, come appunto invece far parlare i dati e disaggregarli in modo da poterli fare parlare è fondamentale, è qualcosa che si ignora completamente secondo me in qualsiasi settore. Grazie.
Ciao, io sono qui un po' per mio interesse e un po' perché lavoro con una realtà profondamente locale che è Cidis Ollus, che ovviamente lavora con i diritti dei migranti, e stiamo appunto implementando in realtà un nuovo progetto che si chiama Umbria Integra, quindi un progetto di informazione, quindi ovviamente sono qui per diciamo anche allargare i miei orizzonti dal punto di vista di comunicazione, perché penso che appunto questo portale in realtà vuole dare voce a una Umbria che è sempre più multietnica ed è importante saperlo comunicare, soprattutto in una realtà regionale che qualche volta anche magari diciamo più legata a dei stereotipi, se vogliamo, che resistono ancora in questo contesto.
Allora, io sono un'insegnante dell'ITIS Merloni Miliani di Fabriano. Siamo qui insieme qui c'è una piccola rappresentanza di uno studente, comunque partecipiamo ogni anno a questo festival per conoscere sempre di più insomma quali possono essere le innovazioni, le novità, le cose importanti del giornale, anche se noi facciamo un giornale scolastico. E di che cosa si interessa? Il giornale si chiama Mercurius, il messaggero degli dei, soprattutto si interessa di attualità e di ciò appunto che interessa di più i giovani, perché è fatto dai nostri studenti. Vuoi parlare tu, Ben? Dai, parla tu, qualcosa tu. Questo è lo studente.
Ciao, sono Buyamin e sono qui per apprendere sempre di più l'importanza del giornalismo e come influenza il mondo, specialmente perché noi quando leggiamo una notizia pensiamo che questa sia vera, però molte volte troviamo delle notizie che ci ingannano del tutto, quindi penso che sia molto educativo da questo punto di vista.
Ok, allora faccio un piccolo disclaimer, adesso noi ci concentriamo su questo aspetto, soprattutto perché qualcuno ha citato l'odio online, eccetera. Questo non è tutto, anzi, come qualcuno ha detto, quando le persone sono al punto di non credere ai fatti, questo è una parte, come si dice, necessaria ma non sufficiente. Cioè, e ve lo dico perché sono anni che ci lavoro e che vado in giro facendo workshop in cui parliamo di strumenti. Gli strumenti servono, ovviamente servono poi per il contesto, non cadiamo, e lo faccio proprio come premessa, non cadiamo nella trappola di pensare che una volta che abbiamo i fatti il lavoro è finito, anzi. Una cosa che noi diciamo sempre, adesso nelle presentazioni si trova anche un po' nel sito, è allora innanzitutto che comunque dietro ogni numero, dietro ogni dato ci sono delle persone, ci sono degli esseri umani E questo purtroppo è una cosa che soprattutto in Italia, dove siamo un po' assuefatti a sentir parlare di migrazione ogni giorno, vedere gli sbarchi, abbiamo un po' perso, secondo me, questo senso. Quindi questa è una premessa che io faccio quando parliamo di dati. Non cadiamo, diciamo, nella tentazione di pensare che i dati siano la fine e che i dati raccontino tutta la storia. Le storie, e lo vedete tutti i giorni, sentendone parlare e avendo a che fare, cioè, ci sono diversi di voi che lavorano con i migranti, con gli stranieri che sono in Italia. Le storie, la vita delle persone sono assolutamente rilevanti e possono essere, lo dico per gli insegnanti, per i genitori, insomma chi vuole parlare, possono essere poi il punto di entrata. Difficilmente diciamo una persona rimane, difficilmente una persona si interessa al tema della migrazione partendo dal dato. È diciamo, uno dei fenomeni umani più grandi, importanti e pervasivi, diciamo, mondiali della nostra epoca in vari modi, non ve lo devo spiegare, però è secondo me una premessa molto importante, perché, e così vi faccio anche già il lancio per il post workshop, perché in realtà appunto non è l'unico strumento e non è anzi lo strumento preponderante con cui noi scegliamo di formare, con cui diciamo le persone scelgono di formare la propria visione del mondo. Per chi fosse interessato, alle 5:45 siamo da un'altra parte al centro Alessi a presentare in realtà i risultati di una ricerca che noi stiamo facendo, una ricerca su varie nazioni, in cui cerchiamo di capire le opinioni della popolazione italiana e di segmentarle, diciamo, perché nel dibattito mediatico, e questo insomma ha molto a che fare anche con questo, nel dibattito mediatico sembra che sia tutto polarizzato, che sia solo pro e contro, solo bianco e nero. Se c'è una domanda, un dubbio sul fenomeno migratorio, un timore, una paura, allora si è automaticamente persone razziste, persone che sono, diciamo, disumane, eccetera. Ci sono, come ci sono da tutte le parti. Però ecco, il lavoro che noi cerchiamo di fare, abbinandolo anche a un tipo di lavoro come questo, è cercare di capire quali sono i timori, le esigenze, le preoccupazioni che poi le persone che possono essere sulla sicurezza, che possono essere sulla questione economica, che possono partire o non partire da una conoscenza diretta. Quello che noi spesso vediamo è che non c'è, tra le persone che hanno le maggiori paure, sono persone che non hanno molta esperienza e molta conoscenza diretta, diciamo, quotidiana del fenomeno, e che quindi appunto i titoloni, la spinta sulla paura fa molto più dell'esperienza diretta. Dato che parlavamo di dati e Giulia all'inizio citava questo titolone, il titolone di Corriere del Immigrati re del crimine, ho visto prima, mi ha mostrato questo titolo. Lo prendo un po', diciamo, come occasione per farvi vedere un po' come lavoriamo e anche come in realtà un numero non sia solo un numero, cioè che i dati sono un fenomeno, diciamo, che cioè non è il numero che racconta la storia, ma anche il contesto, che è un po' il lavoro che noi cerchiamo di fare tutte le volte che affrontiamo un tema. Quindi stranieri in carcere, tema, diciamo, che è spesso all'ordine del giorno, è spesso oggetto dei grandi titoli. Io vi direi, prima ancora di andare sul dato, che e sicuramente già lo fate, soprattutto i docenti che hanno le redazioni, quasi mai il titolo è la storia, il titolo è, diciamo, l'aggancio per fare sensazione. Tanto spesso, e questa è una cosa che vediamo molto di frequente, i titoli, anche i titoli virgolettati, che sono quelli che maggiormente danno l'idea di una verità, una frase che ha detto qualcuno. Io insomma, molto spesso vado a leggere l'articolo e non c'è traccia, diciamo, della frase o della fonte, quindi anche questo, diciamo, ovviamente il lavoro di spirito critico, di farsi le domande, ecco, anche, diciamo, una certa ignoranza che c'è nel capire per esempio come funzionano come funziona il processo legislativo in Italia. Sicuramente avete sentito, visto sui social, ho sentito le persone, hanno fatto una legge per, Giulia mi diceva prima, io in realtà me l'ero persa questa nuova, diciamo, bufala su, hanno dato la patente gratuita ai migranti con già 30 punti, poi non so che altro, un cesto di prodotti tipici, una cosa di questo tipo. Quindi diciamo che queste leggi che si fanno dalla sera alla mattina, poi in un paese come l'Italia, dove invece per fare le leggi ci vogliono anni, diciamo che dovrebbe comunque far un attimo, diciamo, saltare all'occhio. Però il caso dei dati sui detenuti stranieri è abbastanza significativo. Perché? Allora, partiamo da un dato, da un aspetto, l'aspetto dato percezione, che diciamo purtroppo non vi dico niente di nuovo, non si basa appunto necessariamente sui dati, motivo per cui diciamo, facevo il discorso prima. In Italia percentuale di stranieri in generale, senza parlare degli arrivi di rifugiati e immigrati, è di circa l'8%, 8,2 se non ricordo male. Alcune ricerche, insomma, abbastanza recenti europee, non solo sull'Italia, sulla percezione della presenza, parlano invece di numeri tra il 20 e il 30%. Poi diciamo la nostra amica che lavora per un istituto di sondaggi e che conosco bene potrebbe fare anche molti altri esempi su cose che non sono legate, diciamo, alla migrazione rispetto alla percezione, a come funziona, ma diciamo non è l'oggetto di oggi. Stranieri che compiono crimini. Quello che noi facciamo in questo caso è partire dalle fonti. Quindi, qual è la fonte autorevole sui dati del sistema penitenziario? Sono i dati del Dipartimento Amministrazione Penitenziaria, il DAP, che escono una volta l'anno. Se non ricordo male, adesso non ricordo esattamente il mese, comunque escono una volta l'anno. In più vi dico, diciamo, come informazione, una anche delle organizzazioni che fanno parte della nostra rete, che si chiama Associazione Antigone, che si occupa di giustizia criminale in Italia, ogni anno produce uno studio, oltre che sulle condizioni, anche sui numeri diciamo, delle persone in carcere. Allora, proviamo a guardare per esempio i detenuti nelle carceri italiane, quindi italiani stranieri, quindi vedete la percentuale. Questo è un articolo, quindi quello che noi facciamo su Open Migration non è pubblicare un numero, un dato, cioè contestualizziamo, cioè scriviamo degli articoli, delle analisi in cui spieghiamo magari a partire dalla frase, questo in realtà è un articolo di analisi, ma abbiamo proprio una sezione fact-checking, in cui facciamo proprio questo tipo di lavoro anche con i vari, diciamo, livelli, vero, parzialmente falso, completamente falso e così via. Quindi per esempio qui trovate alcuni dei grandi classici, i migranti che portano malattie, l'invasione musulmana in Italia dei migranti eccetera, la questione migranti economici eccetera, insomma, cerchiamo di andare un po' sui più, diciamo, noti luoghi comuni. Gli stranieri in carcere, abbiamo detto 8%. Gli stranieri in carcere in Italia in questo momento sono una cifra, no, questo è un altro articolo, intorno al 35%. Esempio di come il dato non dica tutto, 35% è molto più alto dell'8% di media nazionale, quindi sono sovrarappresentati. Sì e no. Qui per esempio, e questa è l'importanza del contesto e del capire il fenomeno, siamo andati a vedere che reati commettono questi stranieri, cioè questi stranieri per che tipo di reati sono in carcere. E quello che si scopre è che quanto più, diciamo, sono gravi i reati, tanto più diminuisce drasticamente la presenza di stranieri. I reati più gravi, i reati di stampo mafioso, cioè circa neanche l'1% di detenuti stranieri in carcere, cioè di detenuti in carcere sono stranieri. Così come i reati più gravi, gli italiani, diciamo, si difendono benissimo nel commettere reati molto gravi. In più c'è un altro fattore. il fatto che, questo ovviamente chi non si occupa di carcere non è detto che lo sappia, il fatto che sono disponibili per alcuni tipi di reato delle pene alternative, quindi non un periodo diciamo in carcere, ma una serie diciamo di misure alternative. Ovviamente chi diciamo fruisce di queste misure alternative sono persone che possono dimostrare un legame con la società, quindi un po' di una certa sicurezza che non si approfitterà della misura detentiva per scappare, per insomma commettere diciamo altri reati eccetera. Ovviamente gli stranieri e più che mai le persone che arrivano insomma più di recente non hanno questo tipo di connessione sociale, quindi quasi mai usufruiscono di queste pene detentive alternative e quindi anche questo contribuisce alla sovrarappresentazione degli stranieri in carcere. Anche qui su religione, quando sentiamo i numeri cioè le notizie, i radicalizzati in carcere, così siamo andati a vedere, per esempio, qui trovate tutte appunto le infografiche che noi realizziamo, siamo andati a vedere i numeri, diciamo la rappresentazione oltre che per nazionalità, anche per religione. Siamo andati a vedere il numero appunto di radicalizzati, che adesso vi dico è, se lo trovo, detenuti appunto per fede religiosa. Come vedete i detenuti che dichiarano di essere cattolici sono di una percentuale veramente preponderante. Sono 19 i detenuti radicalizzati nelle carceri italiane. Così, per darvi un'idea di quando si dice il fenomeno di 19. Questo è un esempio, ovviamente questo presuppone un lavoro sul capire quali sono le fonti attendibili, quali sono i dati a disposizione. Spesso i dati a disposizione, a proposito di chi parlava di open data, i dati su cui noi lavoriamo sono dati aperti, tant'è vero appunto noi forniamo i materiali così, i dati diciamo delle istituzioni sono spesso disponibili, devo dire, il Ministero dell'Interno ha il sito del cruscotto sull'immigrazione, non sempre, molto difficilmente sono in formato open, cioè sono spesso dei PDF, che non è un formato aperto, che sono messi lì, quindi sono disponibili, quindi si può guardare, non sono quasi mai in formato aperto, ma questo diciamo, è legato un po' alla diciamo, digitalizzazione della pubblica amministrazione, che è un altro grande tema che non affronteremo qui. Appunto sugli arrivi noi usiamo insomma, UNHCR o l'OIM, l'istituto l'Osservatorio internazionale sulle migrazioni. I dati rispetto anche all'Europa usiamo Eurostat e ovviamente tema per tema diciamo, ci sono, per esempio ci sono i dossier Caritas, anche sulle religioni che tracciano, per esempio se andate a guardare il nostro fact checking sulla bufala diciamo, dell'invasione musulmana troverete i dati del dossier Caritas. Ovviamente questo è come dicevo in anticipo, un lavoro articolato, è un lavoro che non è, ok, il numero, usate il numero, c'è ovviamente a seconda del tema da lavorare sulla costruzione delle fonti. Noi quello che facciamo nella nostra trattazione è indicare sempre le fonti, quindi in ogni nostra infografica trovate la fonte del dato da cui è presa, se possibile, se disponibile, i link anche alle basi di dati. E questo diciamo non dipende da noi, ma insomma si fa quello che si può e come vi dicevo facciamo appunto anche questo tipo di lavoro qui, quindi le infografiche che avete visto nei pezzi le trovate anche poi tutte insieme con anche l'articolo di riferimento, quindi sono cose, per esempio sono strumenti a disposizione, sono ovviamente strumenti legati a un preciso momento storico perché noi le produciamo. Alcune cose le produciamo in generale ciclicamente e alcune le produciamo ad hoc sugli articoli, quindi ovviamente tenete conto anche dell'aspetto data. Qualcuno diceva geografia mappe, abbiamo anche diverse cose fatte sulle mappe, per esempio questa sulla rotta mediterranea centrale, queste sono mappe su cui noi ci basiamo su dati ma che poi realizziamo noi, quindi qui sono per esempio tutte le rotte legate alla Libia, al Niger, quindi come funzionano i flussi migratori. Quindi questo per chi fosse interessato, è tutto materiale che potete usare liberamente, è tutto in Creative Commons, quindi è tutto scaricabile, utilizzabile. Se lo usate ce lo dite, ci fate un piacere, perché così lo sappiamo, e se ci sono, diciamo, delle esigenze particolari vi invitiamo a dircelo. Cerchiamo di andare anche un po' in dettaglio. Per esempio, questo fa parte di un articolo, abbiamo una serie di articoli sui rifugiati LGBT, che è un altro, diciamo, un altro tema, un altro, diciamo, aspetto molto importante. I filoni su cui lavoriamo sono asilo, sono accoglienza, quindi per esempio a proposito di regioni facciamo ciclicamente un lavoro sull'accoglienza a livello regionale. Adesso se riesco a trovare l'infografica vi faccio anche vedere. Questa è quella più recente. Ogni anno, a proposito appunto di accoglienza, per esempio un altro punto di riferimento è il rapporto che a fine giugno esce sugli SPRAR, quindi sulle forme, diciamo, di accoglienza nell'accordo, diciamo, che coinvolgono lo Stato e le regioni, da distinguere dall'accoglienza straordinaria. L'avevo vista prima, ecco qua: accoglienza in SPRAR e incidenza per regioni. Questo è il rapporto SPRAR, che tra l'altro è fatto, per chi fosse interessato lo consiglio perché è fatto molto bene, si trova online, poi vabbè, solo anche in cartaceo, è abbastanza consistente. Per esempio una cosa che da qualche anno fanno nel creare, diciamo, si chiama Atlante SPRAR, questa pubblicazione, è abbinare ai dati, ai numeri divisi per regione, con, insomma, tutto quello che potete, diciamo, desiderare in termini di dati, anche un racconto sulle storie. Cioè gli SPRAR sono i centri di accoglienza, tra l'altro a differenza, diciamo, di quelli di accoglienza straordinaria, con tutta una serie, diciamo, di criteri per quanto riguarda l'insegnamento della lingua, per quanto riguarda diciamo, come le persone sono seguite. E per esempio qui vedete che se parliamo di SPRAR, quindi non accoglienza straordinaria, che comunque copre la maggior parte, vedete per esempio che le regioni meridionali sono largamente più rappresentate nel sistema SPRAR, cioè il 19,4% delle persone accolte negli SPRAR al 2016 è in Sicilia, cioè il 20% è in Sicilia, il 19,3%, quindi 19 qua, 19,3% nel Lazio, poi abbiamo Calabria, Puglia, la Lombardia arriva solo qui, l'Emilia Romagna, il Piemonte, quindi anche questi sono dei dati su cui poi bisogna riflettere. Diversamente sull'accoglienza straordinaria è la Lombardia a guidare, diciamo, la classifica. Quindi, come vi dicevo, questi sono rappresentazioni di dati su cui noi facciamo un lavoro volta per volta nello scegliere cosa è più efficace, cioè quale visualizzazione è più efficace per rappresentare un certo numero. Purtroppo, diciamo, la classica, una cosa che vediamo molto spesso è il grafico a torta, che sembra abbastanza semplice, però il fatto è che i dati sono appunto complessi, quindi serve un tipo di, diciamo, di lavoro più articolato, che però, ed è questo dà un'immagine, però il dato in sé, fermato così, non può non voler dire molto. Andando, diciamo, più in profondità e mettendo anche in relazione i dati si riesce ad avere, diciamo, una visione più completa. Dato che abbiamo solo pochi minuti, però, invece di parlare io, facciamo un esercizio, così, per vedere un po' che tipo di parliamo, che conoscenze abbiamo. Quindi ci mettiamo alla prova e senza barare, senza guardare, vi facciamo un quiz. Aspetta però un attimo che mi sa che voglio vedere una cosa. Dovete, perché sono all'interno, giusto, le risposte sono dietro. Devo vedere come è stato stampato, perché hai sbagliato. Ok. Sì, no, va bene, le prime due sì. Allora, adesso Giulia vi distribuisce un quiz, che è uno dei quiz che trovate anche sul nostro sito. Senza barare, i due fogli che vedete davanti a voi, quindi non guardate il retro dei fogli. Dietro ci sono le risposte. Quindi prima e terza pagina, non guardate il retro. Il quiz è su un tema poco controverso, proprio. Cosa sai o non sai dell'Islam in Italia e nel mondo? Sì, no, anche questa a me non serve. Se non sono abbastanza, poi adesso lo facciamo, diciamo, vi lascio proprio 2 minuti per guardare e segnare le vostre risposte senza barare. Fate insieme, come a scuola. Io ho una penna se serve a qualcuno. Ci siamo? No. Lo facciamo in crowdsourcing. Mi dite un po' la risposta che pensate e lo facciamo in diretta qui sullo schermo, così vedete. Ok, così prima che ci mandino via. Allora, arabi e musulmani. Quale di queste affermazioni è corretta? Vediamo un po' che succede. Corretto. Allora qui diciamo spieghiamo e cerchiamo poi di dare sempre diciamo un po' di indicazioni anche tecniche sul dato. Seconda domanda, il Corano, libro sacro dell'Islam, nega che Gesù sia mai esistito. Bravissimo. Definito messia. Cosa significa jihad in arabo? Guerra santa contro i cristiani. No. Jihad, che noi vediamo rappresentato sempre come il simbolo della guerra, in realtà è una parola che significa sforzo. Letteralmente jihad significa sforzo, individua lo slancio per raggiungere un dato obiettivo e può fare riferimento allo sforzo spirituale del singolo individuo per migliorare se stesso. Negli ultimi 20 anni, come è cambiata la percentuale di musulmani tra gli stranieri residenti in Italia? È aumentata, è rimasta invariata, è diminuita? È aumentata o è rimasta invariata? È rimasta invariata. Corretto. Allora, qui, tra l'altro, qui trovate il riferimento al nostro fact-checking. Dal 1993 a oggi la percentuale di stranieri di relazioni è rimasta pressoché la stessa, circa il 32%. È aumentata dal punto di vista numerico perché sono aumentate le persone straniere in Italia, ma la percentuale è rimasta la stessa. Le percentuali che sono aumentate, per esempio, sono quelle dei cristiani ortodossi in Italia, data la migrazione che c'è stata negli anni 90 di paesi come la Romania, la Bulgaria, persone che sono di fede ortodossa. Quindi in realtà, diciamo, però non sentite mai parlare dell'invasione dei cristiani ortodossi in Italia, diciamo, a proposito di dati e come vengono usati. Quante moschee ufficiali ci sono in Italia? 400, 1000, 4, nessuna? 4? 4. Ed è corretto, sono 4. Sono stati registrati 769 luoghi di culto, ma le moschee ufficiali costruite da zero ed erette ad ente morale sono solo 4, qui le indichiamo. I nigeriani sono i primi per richieste d'asilo in Italia nel 2015. Questo è un quiz, tra l'altro, che è stato fatto nel 2016, quindi poi insomma c'è dei numeri un po', però nel 2015. Qual è la religione principale in Nigeria? Siete molto bravi. Quindi anche qui dati. Tra le comunità straniere di residenti in Italia, qual è quella col maggior numero di musulmani? Marocchina, rumena, albanese, tunisina? Corretto, siete molto bravi. Quanti sono i musulmani residenti in Europa? 18, 50, un po' diverso. Quanti 18? Quanti 50? Mi sembrano di più 18, così empirico, ed è quello giusto. Anche qui appunto, come vedete, noi inseriamo sempre le fonti da cui abbiamo costruito il... Esistono paesi in Europa in cui la maggioranza della popolazione è musulmana? Quanti sì? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Quanti no? Ok, vedo più sì. Sì, e sono l'Albania e la Bosnia e Erzegovina, che hanno una maggioranza di cittadini residenti di religione musulmana. Qual è il paese con più fedeli musulmani al mondo? Qualcuno ha detto Indonesia e aveva ragione. Nello stato del sud-est asiatico vivono poco meno di 200 milioni di musulmani, ovvero il 13% della popolazione musulmana mondiale. Allora, termine del quiz, siete stati bravi perché avete fatto l'80% e il punteggio medio sul 56-68, quindi bravi. Dietro i vostri fogli teneteli, ci sono le risposte, così potete... Quindi io, diciamo, nel breve tempo che avevamo a nostra disposizione, spero di avervi dato poi un po' di spunti, è un tema vastissimo e io, se volete, io ho qui, diciamo, anche insomma, i miei contatti, se mi volete sentire, e se siete interessati anche alla cosa che ho detto prima, alle 17:45 siamo in Sala Lessi, e, insomma, grazie a tutti voi e spero sia stato interessante.
ready to go? Welcome. I am not a woman, but I did my best to bring 3 women entrepreneurs, 2 of which are actually made it. So these is going to be a talk about innovation, about how journalists are creating their own businesses, whether they're a solo proprietor, whether they are creating a nonprofit, or they are creating a multimedia studio that is doing high quality independent journalism. And that's really the goal, is as we branch out from just being storytellers, how do we tell our own story to people that we can partner with to develop revenue streams and things like this. I think we might want to go, and so I've got Berta here from Lithuania and Christina here from Macedonia. Huh? Pretty cool. Both women that I've met in probably the last maybe 6 months, and had the chance to work with on some of their projects in their countries or nearby. Let me just start here. Let me just have a little icebreaker here. Does anybody remember when they took their first digital photo, or sent their first photo electronically somewhere else? Do you remember when? What was it year for? Maybe the year, yeah? $2006, yeah. Anybody earlier? 2006? First digital photo, transmitted, sent it around the world. No? How about you? Do you remember? Probably not before 2000, yeah?
Yeah, around 2005 maybe.
Okay. This is the first picture I sent digitally. It was June 4th, 1987. To make that picture, I had to be flying at 21,000 feet in a KC-135 refueling jet, sitting next to the soldier who's pumping jet fuel into an F-4 Phantom. This was my first year at university, and the digital revolution had already begun, because news photographers, and I was a student photographer, and I could file for the Associated Press a picture that I took, developed the picture with a darkroom kit in the trunk of my car, found the nearest newsroom, printed it out, typed a label, and used a machine like this to digitize it and send it over phone lines to New York and Chicago. It took 7 minutes to send a black and white picture. It has a modem built in. You had to hack the phones and attach alligator clips and get a signal, and if anything went wrong, you'd have to start it again. So I've been doing this for a while, but that was my entrance into journalism, was with the camera. I changed my major to journalism once I found that I could do stuff like this, and the newspaper would put my pictures and print them. But then I quickly learned I had to study other stuff other than just making cool news photos, like sociology and economics. I'd already studied technology, and I knew how to code. I was a self-taught programmer as a kid, and I knew how to do live television, because MTV came out, and this was the early 80s. So you could have called me a geek, probably, yeah, when I was 17, 18 years old. And it was really interesting, because as cool as that was, there was a change, and that was the graphic design revolution. And the graphic design revolution meant that I graduated from college, having also studied graphics and design work, as the first person in a newsroom of 500 people who knew how to publish a newspaper and design a newspaper with a computer. And that quickly allowed me to be brought in by senior managers through a whole host of innovation projects. Senior managers at the Tribune Company wanted to develop new newspapers to target young readers, alternative magazines, all kinds of projects, page one design, redesigns of publications. And so for my whole career working in Chicago and in Florida, I worked for the Chicago Tribune and Chicago Sun-Times, 2 Pulitzer Prize winning newspapers. I got a chance to have a front row seat to what innovation really looks like, or could look like. And then when I left 13 years ago, I took all of that knowledge and experience and started to build my own companies. All pretty much around, of course, journalism, because you can never escape it, yeah, once it's in your blood. So I built my own multimedia consultancy. I've built partnerships. I write books. I create workshops. I built a record company. I'm an ASCAP member as a songwriter and a publisher because I wanted to learn, because I wanted to build the business and not just be making content. I built a nonprofit called Visual Editors, one of the first social networks for journalists, in the same year that some guy named Mark Zuckerberg built a social network for everyone else. So, okay, maybe I didn't have the right idea, but at least I was concerned about building a community and serving it with journalism resources. And then recently I've built the Smart Film School, which is online training. And I'm just going to highlight a couple projects, and we're going to lead this into how these women have also built their businesses. But one of the things I got to do was work in media development, and I love working in media development, and that's how I got a part of the project with the Baltic Media Accelerator. But a few years ago, I built the world's first mobile journalism studio for USAID and IREX in a really far-out place in Tbilisi, Georgia. This was 5 years ago, as you can tell by the Journalism Co. Article. So taking the idea of what mobile journalism can be and translating it to a whole lifestyle, whole concept, a whole studio design so that everything is mobile. Not just reporters using phones. The entire space is a studio space. All the walls can move, all the seating can move. It can be a live event space, classroom space, studio space, and you can reconfigure it in 5 minutes to whatever you need. So that room gets used like 16 hours a day for all those functions. An idea that apparently has not been copied yet. So sometimes you're ahead of people, or sometimes you have opportunities to do things, and when you do, you want to use innovation methods to get there, like for Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, also maybe 6 years ago, developed one of the first mobile journalism apps for hundreds of their broadcast correspondents to be able to file reports and send things back to Prague securely. So we developed the wireframes for that. And recently developed a whole online course module for, and actually led the development for an online course called the Media Management Accelerator for one IFRA in Germany, in Frankfurt. And this is just a mood board here of how I had sketched out how, so I created the master course that other instructors could then use as a template. And so we had to interpret all the different types of storytelling we would use in video to explain innovation methods. And so this is just a mood board with a sketch. And so this was actually a Google Doc I created so I could interact with the people in Germany to do that. But not all my businesses or great ideas have been successful, and that is one of the things about being an innovator and being a risk taker, is you have to be able to try things and learn from things that don't work, like my first book on mobile journalism I wrote in 2015. And I made it as an interactive book, an iBook, right? And 3 years later, I think it's sold maybe somewhere in the 4 figures. But it got lots of critical acclaim. Lots of top journalists, editors-in-chief, all gave glowing endorsements, but it went nowhere in the marketplace. So there was a failure somewhere in my planning. But I was asked to write the next book by like a trainer at the BBC in London. He says, oh, that was a great book on mobile journalism. It was about photography, because that's where mobile journalism was really strong. That was the sweet spot 3 years ago. Now it's video. So he wants to know, when's the next book about video? And I went to write that book and pivoted to actually creating 10 online courses on mobile journalism, mobile filmmaking, created 450 video tutorials, and created a brand called the Smart Film School, which is a best-selling brand in a marketplace called Udemy. And if you put in journalism on the Udemy site, you'll see 2 best-selling courses, mine and one by a guy named Dan Rather. You guys don't know who Dan Rather is, or raise your hand if you do. Dan Rather is like the most famous broadcast journalist in America. Okay, online, on air for 25 years in everyone's living room. So me and Dan Rather are equals in Udemy as bestseller status. So I got something right about the business model there. And I got all this social proof. I got all these, great ratings and reviews, and validated my experiment. And if we look at businesses and creating businesses as an experiment, sometimes they're going to fail, sometimes they succeed. What do you take forward from that? And what I got then was an invite from an academic publisher in New York and London to pitch them on a new book. And I used the learning from that failure and from that success to pitch them using a business model strategy, using design methods, using design thinking, so that there's a top line, there's an elevator pitch, there is a user experience that talks about who it's targeting, what the sequence looks like, what the concept is. And that book just launched. It's not here. It's at the NAB show where, I'm sorry, there's 100,000 people. So that's where the publisher decided to put the first copies. So now that's in the marketplace. It will be out in maybe a month or two everywhere else. So those are some of the businesses I built, and I just wanted to kind of reveal a little bit about how I teach design thinking, because that's another thing I do for media development, for Thomson Reuters, and others. And there is a process that we can follow. And you may be familiar, some of these graphics may look familiar, like you may be familiar with bubbles. Well, I call it bubbles, but it's really the Google Design Sprint process and innovation method from Silicon Valley. Or you may be familiar with hexagons. You may know this as the IDEO design method. And these are basically taught for engineers to actually care about users when they're developing products and services. Or maybe you know about diamonds, the double diamond design process developed in Vancouver for the British Council. All of these are ways to guide a team to develop an idea, to develop things that can work and be tested in the marketplace. And that's what we have to do when we are building businesses. But when you are working with journalists and media makers, you have to translate that knowledge into relatable concepts. So I like to say, look, innovation, if you will, is storytelling. You have to find the story, you have to find the audience, and then you have to, build that story, whatever that story is, whether it's a nonprofit or whether it's a studio. And if you look at it as a 3-act play, design thinking is the first act, and it is the most important to get that blueprint right. Because sometimes design thinking, and you hear these words, these buzz phrases, you may not know what they think, lean and agile. Often agile is really just about software. It's about using code. And lean is doing things cheaply, fast, testing and validating ideas cheaply and moving it forward. And when you're working with storytellers, it also helps to say, look, it's a 3-act play, and there's a journey for whatever business model you want to create, or whatever product, service, or even a redesign of what a journalism school could look like. And it's all basically where I tend to work is in this red zone here, in the design thinking, leading teams of journalists in newsrooms from Poland to Singapore to develop new prototypes for storytelling, to develop new business models, or look at problems and try to come up with a game plan for what you call an experiment. And this is all the technology you need to do that. This is a workstation for 4 people to look at a problem and come up with a blueprint by the end of the day in an innovation workshop. I do not allow computers or smartphones in that workshop. They are a distraction. They deter from the state-of-the-art tools that are actually required to drive innovation processes. It is a very human, organic process, and the working methods have to be guided, because if you just put, especially 4 journalists together to look at a problem, you usually don't get anywhere. So you have to put them under tension, you have to build cross-functional teams, you have to bring in outside expertise to really get the best results, especially if you're looking at business models. So you need a journalist, you might need a marketing person, you're going to need a designer and a technologist as a typical team. And then I'm like the sprint master guiding it, and then there's somebody like a CEO or general manager of the company who will be called upon if the team can't decide a direction and they need a decision maker. It's not me deciding it, it's the company. So I kind of take all those best practices and those experiences and drive journalists to develop new business models and projects using kind of a push-pull method. So when we're doing wide open brainstorming, we're doing just that. And then we have a separate phase where we distill those ideas to the best ideas. That's the guide, that's the tip I can give you. If you're running innovation processes, you really need to think about the psychology and getting people focused on just one task. There's no bad ideas out there. We're expanding. And then you sharply reduce them to get the best ideas on the board and onto your business model. It's an engine. When you do it that way, you start to build momentum, and the way that you do that is you put people on the clock. for each task. And that works really well for journalists because we all understand deadlines. And then at the end of the day, you can stand up there behind a really well thought out, cohesive, concise blueprint and pitch the CEO of your company and get green lighted for a project. That's where I want journalists to get, more journalists to have this experience, not just the people working in the news labs, not just the people working in the startups that you bring into your media houses, but every journalist should have some literacy and some experience with this so that they can put their ideas into a business model in front of funders and get funded. So that's me, and that's what we did for a couple days in Riga, along with a couple other media groups, right, Berta? And one of the problems was that all the members of your team were journalists, so trying to think about businesses and how do we test and know where we should put our energies was a real issue. So why don't we start there, and I'll load your presentation while you introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. I am Berta from Lithuania, and I'm the co-founder of Nanuk, the multimedia platform and new media agency, as we call it. A bit how it started, so it was me, I studied journalism, photojournalism, and multimedia journalism in Lithuanian, Danish, English, and Chinese universities. And I started to do multimedia journalism in 2018 when it was just something very new and fresh, and it started from sound slides, photos with sound, so a very primitive form of video. But at that time it was something innovative, and this is what we did with my colleague and friend. And so I started like this, and I wanted to go further and to create, to follow the what's happening in the industry and to create something bigger. And in 2014, at the end, I met colleague Arturas from Lithuania as well, who started to be a freelance journalist, photojournalist himself, and so we started to become a team and to create something, a platform that was missing for us, a place where we wanted to create visual journalism. So we decided we're going to do documentary multimedia projects that haven't been done before in Lithuania, and we wanted to be the first ones to do that. Nanuk is, if someone wonders, was the main character in the first feature documentary film made almost 100 years ago by Robert J. Flaherty. So that's why we took this name, because we also, as Flaherty, created something new and something that hasn't been done before. This is the team, and as you can see, all of us are journalists, only the one guy who is our IT ninja creating the platform and presenting everything that we do. So that was and still is one of the biggest problems for us as a business, that we need more people, and we're getting more people to our team that could help us with writing, applying for grants and pitching stories and applying for funding to other businesses, for example. What we do documentary multimedia projects, so big documentary projects. Last year with colleague Karolis, who is also here, we started to do podcasts. Then we do, for us is really important, what is really important is education. And when we started, we decided that education is going to be the part of what we do. And I teach at the universities as well, and we, in partnership with other organizations, we do workshops and we teach kids from school or university students how to work with visual journalism. Then we also do commissioned work that someone hires us to do, for example, documentary stories, and we do what we do, it's just that we do it on some specific topic and we still retain control of what we do. And we're planning to do some feature stories in the future to add to the website. Our first project was Monotone Days, about women living in the correctional facility for women in Lithuania. And for this project, for example, we get a funding, a grant from Lithuanian Council of Culture, and we also sold it to Al Jazeera, and some money that we invested in the project came back through this way. Another project that we did in 2016 was about Lithuanian Paralympic team. And we decided to do it very quick. I came back from my trip. I called some of my previous students, and I said that I have this idea to do a project about Lithuanian Paralympians, and all of the students that just came out from the university wanted to join, and we did it very quick, so we didn't have time to apply for any grants. But we sold it to one of the Lithuanian media websites, and we also won some prizes, which is also another way to, if the prize is money, so it's another way to get something back that you invested. So, for example, our biggest award was the second prize in the National Press Photography Association awards. It is the second place, and first and third was taken by the New York Times. So for us it was a big achievement. Our latest project was Traces, about exile in Siberia during the Soviet Union. A team of 4 men that we trained to film and photograph went there on an expedition, and they brought us material, so we combined it with what we filmed in Lithuania, and we did a big multimedia project, and this is the trailer for that.
Kiekvienas žygis tai yra tam tikras savęs nugalėjimas, tam tikras savęs išieškojimas.
Juhu! Dukros gimimas pakeitė mano santykius su tremties tema.
Kur tėtis važiuos vasarą?
Į Sibirą.
Nėra nė vienos dienos, kada atsigo, kad aš neprisiminčiau šiaurę.
Sakė, jeigu jūs tie kalnai norės įsileisti, tai įsileis. O jeigu norės pasiimti, tai pasiims.
Verčiamės į kitą pusę!
Mes niekada net kartosim to, ką žmonės patyrė išvežti su vasariniais drabužiais į žiemą, į Sibirą. Čia toks simbolinis pabandymas suprasti, kas yra Sibiras.
Sniegas, rūkas, debesis, šaltis ir taip toliau.
Kur tu ten raunės, jopstara?
Kai žinai, kad tavo tėvas gimė ten, kai tu žinai, kad tavo senelis ten vaikščiojo į darbą, kažkaip jis toks artimesnis yra.
Ateidavo ir iš tundros baltosios lapės ir irgi grauždavo žmonių kūnus.
Senokai neturėjau tokios minčių audros.
+4!
So that you could understand better how it looks and how it feels, I wanted to show. And so the thing is that what we did was not only 4 episodes of like web doc series that we did. It's 4 episodes of the short videos about the preparation for the expedition, about the historical context, and then about the coming back and the stories that they found there. But it's also texts about, we talked with survivors who've been there actually, who are almost 90 years old now and still alive and can still tell us something. And the goal was to look at the same story that we heard so many times ago about the deportation, into another angle that it would be suitable for young audiences, and to look to it through the adventure. And so you can also read the text, you can see the photos, you can actually explore also the interactive map and see where the expedition was, and you can read the messages that expedition members send us from the GPS device. So you can read each message from which place they send it. For example, that, oh, today we saw a bear, and how they felt. Oh, this is the map that you can explore. The problem with the documentary multimedia projects in Lithuania still is, and it was when we started and still is that people don't the audience is not aware of what it is. Like every time we present a project and we show a trailer, for example, they ask, so when is the whole movie is coming out? Because people are used to documentary films, people are used to feature stories, for example, texts, but they're not used to actually documentary multimedia projects. So we have to show them what it is, to invite them, to find the ways to engage them in those projects and to actually discover how they look like and to explore them. Another way of income for us is commissioned work. So some companies or organizations or festivals, like in this case, New Circus Festival, hired us to do documentary stories about circus. So they commissioned the stories, but they didn't have any control of the context that we did, of the content that we did. So we were free to do anything we wanted in terms of new circus and contemporary circus, but it was, for them, it was also a way to introduce the new circus to the audience in Lithuania and to invite them to the festival. Naila was another character in the documentary film, Nanook of the North, and it's the name of the podcast that we started last year with colleague Karolis. And instead of telling you and talking, I want to show a short video which explains more about the podcast and how it works.
From Nanook Studio in Vilnius, this is Karolis Vyšniauskas. You're listening to Naila Podcast, a place where we try to make sense of the modern world. Named after the first documentary film Nanook of the North, Nanook Multimedia Agency provides in-depth journalism from Lithuania to the world. In September 2017, we launched the first professional podcast in Lithuania. It's called Naila, the name of another character from Nanook of the North. Each week, we produce a new episode analyzing cultural and social forces that shape our world. We do it in English and Lithuanian languages. Okay. At Naila, we interview thinkers, activists, and artists. We tell stories from stigmatized communities. We organize Naila Live debates where the audience gets to be involved. Naila broke the biggest story of sexual harassment in Lithuania by a famous director. The story went international. Naila team consists of young media professionals. We record and edit the sound, take photos, make videos, we create original music. We work with illustrators and guest contributors in different countries. We are proud of our listeners. We have more than 150 people who support Naila on Patreon. We also got our first private and NGO sponsors. We believe that podcasts are the future of intimate, in-depth journalism. The podcast market in the Baltics has just started to form. We want to invite you to participate by supporting Naila and Nanook. Thank you for listening. Take care.
So we started the podcast last year, and it was also like we decided it's just going to be another experiment because we didn't know if it's going to work or not, if people are going to listen to podcasts or not, because there were not really professional, good quality podcasts in Lithuania before. And all of us, and especially Karolis, are fans of podcasts, and we listen a lot to NPR radio, for example, or BBC. And we wanted to do something in Lithuanian language and talk about some issues in Lithuanian language for our audience. So we didn't know if it's going to work or not, and we just started to do it. And from the very beginning, we got some sponsorship from MailerLite, the company in Lithuania. Then we applied for grants and scholarships and got another sponsors. So this was a way to fund our podcasts. It's interviews, it's discussions, and live events as well that we started to do. Our Patreon platform, we raise money from the audience, so it's like people paying for the content instead of getting it for free, but we still want to always keep our platform and our content free so that people who are not able to pay would be still they could still have a possibility to listen and to watch the documentary projects we do. The sponsors that we got, we also work with the NGO, for example, who commission work that we do, but we again contain the freedom to have to tell the stories that we want without giving them control. Other things that happened was the Baltic Media Accelerator program that we participated. This is where we met Rob, and so the program started last year and it took 6 months, and it not only gave us some funding, but it also gave us training and some knowledge that we needed how to run the business. And then there is another program that we won as well, and that's why Karolis is here, and he's going to talk about it tomorrow in the morning, 9:30, about Finding Common Ground initiative that is organized by Agora Journalism Center. And education, what I also mentioned before, is that we work with students, school students or university students who want to know more about visual and, in general, journalism. What we also do is all other possible things to have revenues and to have income. So it's photo exhibitions, talks, publications, and other media outlets. For example, some podcasts become articles in the magazines. We consult the newsrooms in Lithuania who want to do, for example, multimedia projects. And these are our websites, and some of the podcasts are in English, and multimedia projects as well in English, so you can explore them.
Thank you very much. Wow, pretty dynamic looking stuff. And I will launch your presentation, and I will attempt to be the geek, the AV driver, while you introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Kristina Ozimets. I'm from the platform for investigative journalism and analysis, PINA, from Macedonia. Now most of the world knows Macedonia for fake news. But us in Macedonia, we had a long fight with propaganda, a long fight with a regime for 11 years at the same time while these things were happening. These events, why I'm mentioning this, these events left the media scene in Macedonia now after 10-11 years in a very poor, very devastating state. In the past years, there wasn't much space about for investigative journalism. The media are very, you could say, traditional. They're very oriented towards, mostly towards daily journalism. So this, because I was working for 8 years now as an investigative journalist, it gave me a lot of frustration on, you know, because I couldn't work how I imagined in investigative journalism. So that's how the idea for forming the platform for investigative journalism showed up. Basically, I contacted a couple of colleagues and a couple of friends in the media scene who I thought were interested in developing an initiative which would create some kind of a free platform where, without the pressure of constant news chasing and the troubles that we had in other newsrooms, we could publish our investigative stories and analysis on a media which we would start on that platform. Now we exist for a little less than a year. Last year we organized the Investigative Film Festival Skopje in Macedonia for the first time. But at the time, this when we gathered, this idea still didn't exist. We just wanted to create a media where we could publish our stories basically, and we had no idea that we were going to make a festival at that time. It's interesting that when we gathered as a group, turned out, I think maybe an accident, maybe not, that most of us are female journalists, and we realized that we're also like far from satisfied with the conditions of female journalism in Macedonia, female journalists. So we decided that part of our mission in the organization that we're going to form is also to work on this issue and improve the position of female journalists in the country. We were talking about different ideas, how to develop the media, but in the end we decided it's definitely the best way to go with an NGO, to form an NGO, because opening a company, it meant it's going to be a much more expensive, longer process, involves a lot of paperwork, and journalists don't like paperwork. So we gathered all the documents, basically we opened the NGO, became a legal entity, and we handled all the details, of course, opening a bank account and getting permission to work. And PINA was born. The organization is advocating for promotion and capacity building of an improvement of professional standards in the fields of investigative journalism. This is the previous, yes, the logo. This is our team. The idea, like I said, about the festival that we later made didn't exist at the beginning. We started to think about different ideas that would put us on the map in Macedonia, that would make us more visible. We wanted to do something different, something that doesn't exist on the media scene. At the time when we were brainstorming, I remembered my experience as a part of a fellowship I had in the US. It was in an organization called 100 Reporters in DC, in Washington, DC. And I was lucky, like when I was there at the time, they organized for the first time the Investigative Film Festival in DC. Yes. And I witnessed the whole process that they made. Like at the time, I never thought that maybe I would organize something like that. I never thought that we would form an organization. It was just a fun, interesting media event for me, like this one. I was following the whole process. I was also a volunteer on some of the, like on the opening and some of the events. And it turned out a couple of years later that we organized something, of course in a smaller scale, but something similar. I proposed this idea that to our team, that we could maybe organize something similar in Skopje, of course, adequate for our media scene, our problems, and the things that we're facing in Macedonia. And the whole team loved the idea, and we started to discuss on options on how to get funding for the festival at the time. We didn't know exactly how we should handle this. We're all journalists. I mean, we're not, we're not in NGO. I don't know, we're not so much experienced in getting grants, applications, and things like that. We're all journalists. This is some of the team. You can find more information on us on www.pina.mk. We're 4 or 5 journalists. We have Vasco, which is he's taking care of the whole IT part for both of our web pages, pina.mk and iffs.mk, the web page of the festival. We're all working on the festival, and we're working also on, some of us are working on some of the projects for making investigative stories and analysis. When we decided to yeah, we can go next slide, sorry. Yes, this is our webpage, pina.mk, where we publish our stories. When we decided like to go with the idea for the festival, parallel with that process, we opened our media, pina.mk. Now we publish stories and analysis. We also publish some opinion articles, some more important news, but we don't do daily journalism. We are still a relatively new organization, so we're obviously still definitely struggling to find financial input and grants that will support our stories, but we hope that this will become soon more and more easier. We can go with the next slide. And that part, we are a part of this bigger project which is called Media Observatorium, where we work on yes, it's in Macedonia, sorry. At the moment we work on investigative stories and analysis which follow the reforms in the Macedonian media scene. The reforms of the government on the media sector. And all the stories are prepared by the journalist in PINA, and then they're published on our webpage. Next slide, sorry. I will come back to the festival again. These two processes happened at the same time. We got to be a part of this bigger project with two bigger organizations, and as a parallel process, we also organized the festival. We envisioned the festival, which happened in November last year. It was held from 3rd to 5th November as a 3-day event where we would have a combination of film screenings, debates, panel discussions, and workshops that focus on the investigative, on the impact of investigative journalism, and also raise awareness of different issues and challenges in the media world. IFFS for us, it was an event that we saw it as an event which would become a place for journalists and movie and media professionals in the whole region, and from abroad they can connect and develop future stories. Of course, maybe even films. And we also want the event to educate and inform the public. Yeah, you can go ahead, of course. On the new trends in the world media scene. At the time when we began, we didn't have much knowledge for, preparing a festival. Plus, we were a new organization, which it's very difficult, to get serious funding for a new organization for an event like this, without any previous background in the NGO sector in the country. We knew that one of the foundations in Macedonia, Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, it's a German foundation, we knew that they support events like this, and they were active in Macedonia, so we decided to go and present our idea to them, basically to ask them if they are going to be a partner in the whole process. And luckily, they loved the idea, so they joined and they became our partners in organizing the festival, which was a great help, of course, because we were new in the whole thing. But then the difficult part came where we actually had to organize the festival. We had to find speakers that we would like to represent to our public. We had to organize everything from the debates to select films, to find our main focus, what are going to be our main messages, find a venue for the festival, hotel for the speakers, organize their trips, many other details and other logistics. At the time, my biggest fear was that basically no one will accept our invitations and no one will show up and no one will come. That we won't be able to find films, they won't give us the rights to show them, to screen them. We were a new organization, and which pretty much nobody knows outside. Well, even in Macedonia, we were little known. Why would anybody bother, I don't know, to read our emails and our invitations? But to my great surprise, as we started to invite people to organize, luckily, like most of the people that we invited came. And actually, we didn't have a trouble getting the films. The directors were very interested in giving us the chance. You can go faster. Okay. Yes. The directors were very also interested in giving us a chance to present them to the public. We decided for that first year that the festival will be devoted to the whistleblowers, those individuals that actually ignite change in society. And we opened with a screening of Being a Whistleblower. It's a film by Benoit Bringuet. I hope I'm saying this right. And right after that, it followed a discussion called Whistleblowers, Secret Players That Can Change History. We had on this discussion via Skype, we had the American investigative journalism Betty Metzger. She wrote about the FBI burglars from 1971, which is an amazing story. And one of the biggest speakers, like one of the biggest stars, which drew a lot of attention to the festival, was also, we had as a guest the former Macedonian security official Georgi Lazarevsky, who handed over the government's illegally wiretapped recordings in Macedonia, which influenced the rise of Macedonia's colorful revolution and the changes that happened in the country afterwards. We had also many other films, of course, about a number of different subjects. We had themes involving in the whole region. We were talking about the privatization in Croatia, the British secret tax havens, the survival of print media in the digital world, air pollution in Skopje, which is also a huge problem, and many other subjects. We had workshops and talks on subjects on the importance of freelance investigative journalism, crowdfunding campaigns for investigative journalism films, women reporting from high-risk zones. We talked about the Panama Papers at the time. We also held a regional debate about the conditions of investigative journalism on the Balkans. One of the most interesting debates was also the one on fake news. On this debate, we had a young man from Veles, from Macedonia. He worked on fake news and talked about his experience on the debate, which of course drew a lot of attention as well. We had Rob Montgomery here as a guest on our festival. He led a workshop on how to make low-cost investigative documentary films with your smartphone, and we also had many other debates and events on other countries. So in the end, the idea became a reality. We somehow managed in less than like half a year to open the organization, to open one media, pina.mk, and the webpage of the festival, which is a completely different webpage. We became a part of a large media project, Media Observatorium, and organized the first investigative film festival, Skopje, which is an event which is first of its kind in the country and the region. And currently we are in preparations for the second investigative film festival, Skopje, which will happen probably in October this year.
Thank you. So some very busy journalists. Thank you very much, Christina and Berta. We've got still time, and that's what we were hoping for, because you may have questions. You may want to know, what's it like to start a business and still be working as a journalist? What's it like to dive in full-time and build a team that does work that competes with the New York Times? Or maybe you want to know how to write a book. Anyways, whatever questions you have, and get it published, please ask them, because that's why they're here, and that's why we tried to keep them as short as possible, but kind of let you know what's going on. Any questions? Yeah, if there's a microphone, yeah, here it comes. Thank you very much.
Hi, I have a question for the people of Nanook, because I myself, I'm busy with creating multimedia stories, innovation in journalism, and what I find, I'm from Holland, by the way, is that in big newsrooms, technology is always working against the journalist. And I saw your productions were really smooth and really cool. How do you do it with the coding? How do you make it so smooth? Do you do it for every production? May I build it from scratch, or?
It's a really good question, and it's like something that if you haven't dealt with, you wouldn't think about it. So the thing was, yeah, when I started, for example, back in the day, it was hard because, for example, news media organization that I was working for, they didn't even want to do it anymore. They said, oh, it's really nice, it's really beautiful, but it's too complicated, it's too expensive, it takes too much time. No. So I quit my job, and then later I started my own, and I knew that the important thing is to find right people to do it. And for example, the story about Lithuanian Paralympians, we sold it to Lithuanian media outlet, this one of the biggest ones, and we were really disappointed because they were not able to present it in a way that it was supposed to be presented. And so they were struggling to do it, and the story was delayed just because of the technological issues. But on our website, we work with Kazimieras, who is our team member. I also met him in the university. I was giving a workshop for students, and he knew what we were doing, and he was interested not only in IT side, but also in journalism and projects, visual projects. So he's really interested into the stories, and that's why he's able to do it, because he wants to do it. He knows, he finds the way how to do it, and we discuss what's the best way to present each story and each project. And so we work together. So it has to be a team member who's not only IT specialist, but also understands about storytelling and knows, has seen examples and knows how to do it.
Yeah, I think one of the things too was when we met last November, the team was really chasing so many different business ideas. They didn't really have good ways to measure what was working, and they felt really stressed out because they didn't have time enough time in the week or whatever to really focus on the great storytelling and doing the high tech that they were doing. But I think you're now in a better position now where the business. The tasks of running the business are taking less of your time, and you can shift back to doing more. Is that where you feel that's coming, or you feel like you've turned a corner?
It's coming. It's still like I call ourselves and each of us like an octopus that has to do many different things at the same time. And it's like we also have to understand how for example, this IT thing works to know what to require or to know that it's possible or not possible and so on. So all of us have to have a lot of knowledge, but it's really important to have some specific specialists in the team. Like we have music composers and we partner with graphic designers. So it's the same with the technology, and we're really lucky that we not only have someone who's just like IT and doesn't understand what we do, but that he understands and that he can help to present it better.
Yes, yeah, microphone, thank you.
Hi, I think there's quite a few freelance journalists who dream of starting their own project, their own business, and my question to that is quite open to all of you. What's the biggest mistake you can make when starting something, or what's the most important lesson you could give?
Do you want to take that, Christian?
Well, to me, I think it's knowing your place, I guess, in the organization. I realize that I'm not the person that likes, the bureaucracy and the chasing grants and things like that. So definitely, you realize you need a person that does that and that likes to do that. So I think it's much smarter to that's what I think. Maybe I will change my mind in a year. I don't know, we'll see. But for now, I think our approach is we're finding people that are going to do that, and we're going to focus as much as we can, at least, on the journalism and why, like on the idea why we got into this in the first place.
For me, I think the biggest mistake would be not to start to do it, because as soon as you start, you will figure it out. The most important thing is also to find the right people to work with. It's impossible to do it on your own, and so we started 2 of us, and then some of my students joined, and some other people who saw what we do joined because they liked what we do and because they wanted to be a part of it. So it's important to find just not random people who would do something that you say, but to find people who would be actually interested in what you do and like it and want to be a part of it. So then it's easier. For example, Karolis joined us because he wanted to work with a team, not alone as he was working before, and he had this idea, and then we developed it together and we started working it together. So we invested our own money, we worked 24/7, we wrote the applications even if we don't like it, because it was the only way to do things that we wanted to do. And like, if you want to do it, you will find a way and you will do everything that is needed to make it work. And then it's gonna get easier with the time, I think, when more people will come and when you know how it's working.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that it takes maybe the mistake is you think that just because you create a great product or a great story, that there's instantly an audience that will be there to pay for it. And so that's why you have to really back up and learn from, okay, was making an interactive book the right solution, or I just thought it was the coolest thing I could do? And so you have to kind of like check your ego and say, okay, that didn't work. So how would I disrupt myself? And so once I started inverting my thinking, is like, if somebody else was doing it and they were competing with me, what would I do? And then you start to unlock maybe some new avenues, or you figure out you're not really good at marketing, so try to sell yourself to somebody who is and partner with them. And that's what I learned.
Another thing I would add is, like, still, if we have this agency, for example, in the beginning, and still freelancing on my own, traveling, for example, in Asia, South America, and then doing photo stories mostly and selling them. And for example, the money I can get for one story in Taiwan or Australia, I can use that money to work on a story in Lithuania, where they not pay that much to do it, or where there is no money at all to do it. So it's also shifting the funds from one story to another.
Any more questions? Yeah. Are you thinking about starting your own businesses, whether it's like a side business or jumping in to the pool? You can take a small idea, right? You stole a great idea, which is a great way to start too, right? It's like, I saw something, I was inspired by something that didn't happen in my country, right? The film festival. And
we didn't steal it. We
right,
borrowed
but you borrowed it. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? You took that concept and said, that would be, how do we do that? Yeah.
Yeah, we were aware, of course, that we were gonna adapt it to our conditions. It was impossible. It's impossible even if you want to like replicate something that happened in Washington D.C. or in London or here,
yeah.
To copy it in Macedonia. It's impossible. It's just an idea, which you can, of course, later adapt to your media conditions, to your journalist community, to the people, to the interests of people there, and try to do something, well, at least as good as what is happening in those countries.
Yes, more questions, please.
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask also about the film festival. First of all, it was for free, all the screenings, right? If I understand correctly.
Yes, all the events were free.
And so how did you get the rights to the films, and how much energy that part took? Because I guess you can get a lot of films for free as well, but it takes a lot of like human work to do that. So how many films did you show, and did you get the films that you wanted to get? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was one of my biggest worries, that we won't get good films, or we won't get enough films, because they will, like the authors will ask for a lot of money, and we can't afford it, and things like that. One of our members is a selector on the festival. She's a film selector, and the whole process of finding films and contacting the directors and the authors, she organized the whole process. And she contacts either the producers or the authors and asks for permission to screen the movies. Some of them ask for money. Of course, that some varies depending on the film, and some of them don't ask for. They just give it for free. So we were lucky. I think we will see how this year it will go, but last year the process went pretty smoothly. We didn't get some of the films. Of course, we had a wish list. More popular films are either much more expensive or you have a problem like even getting in touch with these. These are, some of them are huge stars, and it's really a challenge to get in touch with these people. I mean, you're not gonna succeed 100%, but I think in the end we had a great. We showed, I think 8 or 9 films last year. This year we want more than that. Yeah.
Yes, please.
I would like to ask, what's your end goal, and how would you imagine your organizations in, let's say, several years from now? What would you want to see? How would you imagine those?
Project yourself 7 years into the future. And just remember, 7 years ago, the worst feature on a smartphone was the camera. And now look where we are. It's impossible to predict the future. But I think what you want to do is give yourself the chance to keep doing what you love and having the chance to find stories that connect with audiences. I mean, yeah.
Well, as an organization, we hope in that period of time that we will find serious funding to make good journalism, to make good investigative stories and good analysis, and to somehow not, to influence the mainstream, not to just be like this marginalized website that publishes, from time to time something, but to really influence the mainstream media as well. That is one part of our focus, and another part, we hope that the Investigative Film Festival really grows it becomes a regional event, a serious regional event that will attract crowds and journalists and people from the media community from the whole Western Balkans, from the whole region and beyond.
Yeah, I have no doubt you'll succeed. No doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would think, yes, it's really hard to predict the future. What we want to do, and what is one of our goals, is to go back to back with the technology. So every project that we do has to be better and different than the one that was before. So now we want to try 360 VR and AR or whatever that comes, if we find the right project for that. So we're gonna connect this. We're not going to become probably the mainstream media place, but we want to be the place where people would know that they can go there to get the high quality ethical journalism. So I hope that our team is going to be a bit bigger. We have more professionals from different areas of the business to have it more sustainable, to struggle less, and to be more. To have calmness and to be able to work more and focus on what we do the best, each of us, instead of doing many things at the same time. So I hope we will continue doing it, and we will transform into something depending on technology and depending on the needs of the society, for example, of the audience, what they need, and of the topics that need to be covered as well. So we don't have what we want to be. We just want to be something that will become naturally.
Yeah, I hope to be as unsatisfied as well, so that I'm driven to keep finding better ways to do what we're doing and that impact with more people. Hey, I had a quick idea for you guys. You were saying that the Siberian project, a user-driven experience was kind of foreign to your audience. Have you thought about cutting a movie and screening it at her film festival? Or screening it in theaters now, taking it and repurposing it? And, because I had an audience miss, and I'm just, and I repurposed stuff.
So with this project, and with one of the previous, we actually presented them in Lithuania in documentary film festivals. So we show the episodes and we talk, we have Q&A with the audience, and then we invite them to go further to explore the whole project. So that was one of the ways to show the audience part of the project, which looks good on the screen
Yeah,
in
because
the
it seems like your
phones.
audience is responding to, oh, we're creating a passive media experience. Podcasts are very intimate and personal, and so are watching movies sometimes. And then you have like discussions around it. I'm just wondering if you think about doing the same things with films.
It's
as
really
we hear you.
important, especially when you do internet journalism, to actually go and to do live events, to meet with people, to have Q&As, to show in the film festivals, to have actual human interaction and questions, and it's always very rewarding and interesting.
Okay, so she might have a film for you. Yeah.
So at least we have one film. Great. You're all invited, of course, to this year's festival.
Yeah, I think the Perugia organizers have to worry. You know, you get an idea, you go to a film festival, and then you bring it to Macedonia. So, any more questions? I think maybe we should. Where are we at? We still got time. The next session's not until 20 minutes, or what? I'm sorry. What'd you say? One last question. That sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, I also come from Lithuania, and I from journalism center in Lithuania, concerned with journalism education, and there were quite a lot of sessions here about business sustainability, small business sustainability, and your models are really interesting, and I wanted to ask how sustainable do you think those business models you are working are now, and maybe how it can be modified or to bring more stability to you.
Okay, I'll just speak briefly. Like I said before, because I may have forgot this, my business model at this point in my career, and I've been doing this for 13 years, so I found ways to sustain myself through doing workshops and books and online training. So the book I showed you that failed has only made like 4 figures. My online brings like 4 figures a month. The book will add another stream. So for me, it's having some streams of royalties. So that frees up my time to then to do more research, create more media that's teaching based around journalism methods. And for me, that works.
Honestly, I don't have an answer to this question yet. We are at the very beginning, I think. I mean, we exist for less than a year, and we are thinking a lot about this issue, and we hope that we'll find some solutions. For now, I mean, in Macedonia, the reality is that for initiatives like this, it's basically foreign funding. You apply for grants, and if you get approved, you get to realize a project. That is the reality for now. But I saw a couple of really successful examples in the region with crowdfunding campaigns. One just happened like a couple of months ago in Croatia for this media, this local media that they have there, where people gathered money like for a whole year for the media to exist. So this is giving me hope, because in Macedonia the awareness on this question is very low. People don't believe that the crowdfunding model is actually something that can work, or that the donations work. But this really kind of it influenced me a lot to think in that direction. So we will see.
In our team, all the people, all the journalists who work there, it's our main work, and we make a living from that. We still have to work a lot to find the ways to streams of income. So it's grants, scholarships, commission work, sponsors, partners, and so on. So we still have to work a lot on that. And the question was like, in the future, how it would be. We do the crowdfunding as well. So in the future, the thing is that the audience and, for example, crowdfunding grows with the time, when people see, when they trust in you, when you do, when the quality of your work doesn't go down, and so it's constantly growing. So in the future it should be bigger, and it should help much more. And then also what we noticed it's the 4th year that we're working that with the work, with every project that we do, we get more attention from, for example, businesses or from organizations that invite us to do workshops, to give talks, to give lectures, or to do commissioned work. So I think when the work is, what you do is good and high quality, it's easier for others to find you, to see, and to ask how you do it, or if you can do it, something like this for them. So I hope in the future it's gonna be, now it's shifting already, that it's not only us going out or reaching out, but it's a lot that someone else is writing us or calling us. So the difference should be bigger in the future, I think.
Hey, thanks for coming and joining us for this talk with Berta and Christina.
This is the most quiet I've heard in 3 days. You guys. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you all could join us here in this very quiet room. My name is Samantha McCann. I'm the Director of Communities from the Solutions Journalism Network. This is my colleague Nina Fesho. I would like to apologize from the beginning for a couple things. First off, I'm American, so sorry. Second of all, I think the most cruel thing you can do to an audience at 4:30 in the afternoon on the second day of a conference is to ask them to participate. But we are actually going to have a couple of activities in which you have to verbalize what you're thinking with someone next to you who you don't know. I think conferences are important. We're all a bunch of smart journalists and journalistic thinkers in this room, and if we can meet some new people, I think that's a version of success in our world. So let's kick it off with a question. Why did you originally get into journalism? 5 minutes, someone you do not know, hopefully in your proximity. Okay, everyone switch if you haven't already switched. Okay. Wrap it up.
I love that mess.
Okay, do we have any volunteers to talk about why they got into journalism? Any volunteers to talk about why they, quick 2 sentences on why they went into journalism? Yeah. I don't want to call on people. Anyone?
We'll pick one.
Tracy Powell. Oh, you got one. Okay. Thank you.
Because I wanted to tell other people's stories. I like asking a lot of questions. I was really curious as a kid. And so I like to get underneath people, understand what they were thinking and what motivated them. And I also wanted to make a difference. So.
Thank you. That's great. Anyone else motivated to share? Okay. So you're shy. How about you? This isn't about me. I didn't get into journalism. I got into nonprofits. Okay, so anyone for this? Did you get into journalism for that? That? No? Anyone? No? That?
Oh, maybe that.
Oh. Vertigo. Oh, someone got in for that? No, no. And my favorite, the front page of, okay, respect the New York Times, all due respect. The front page of the New York Times on Thanksgiving Day was this story. Thanksgiving in the United States, a lot of issues with it, historical controversy, but it's usually a day when people come together and just have food with their family. And this was the story. So we are from an organization called the Solutions Journalism Network, and understand that these are selections of news. This is not all news. This is probably not most of what you all report on or edit. But it's a lot of it, and it's especially a lot of the mainstream media coverage we see, especially in the US. So we are going to talk today about a new approach. It's not an alternative, it's an addition. It's an additional way you can report on stories. Does anyone know how Ebola was stopped? You remember Ebola? 2014. Does anyone know?
I think it just petered out after a while. They just imposed very strict curfews and just waited until everybody was dead, basically.
Really?
I think.
Oh, does anyone know? Oh, that it basically petered off. They quarantined people. Probably some of the most informed people in the world. And all we know is that there was an outbreak in 2014, and it was really bad. What else happened? Any ideas with this one? Really, I'm honestly looking for volunteers. I'm not just trying to prove a point.
There's no single answer to that. I mean, there's a lot of questions, issues, housing, integration, schooling, vocational training, everything. So you could say good or bad, depending on your viewpoint. I mean, depending on where you live and how much you really get into contact with refugee populations. So if you come from a city like Cologne, you might say badly. If you come from a city like Berlin, you might say badly, depending on your viewpoint. If you are from a small town, we have never even seen a single refugee. Perversely, some people say badly, even though they are not affected at all. So there's no simple answer to that.
You're German? Danke. Any non-Germans know? This was front page news, definitely, even in the United States for months. You know, every day was the problem. The extent 1.2 million over the course of 2 years. Never heard about it again in US media. There was a shooting last year in Las Vegas in the United States. 58 people were shot, were killed, and hundreds were wounded. The media coverage, there's an organization called The Trace which studies gun violence. They did a study on the media coverage of this shooting, one of the deadliest in American history, and I know we have a unique problem with this issue. After 14 days, it was almost never mentioned again in mainstream media. Just gone. It happened, and on to the next. So, here's where we enter.
Thanks. Oh, no, I did something wrong.
Put on disco music.
I'm not American. Maybe that's why.
There we go.
Yeah, so first we want to give you a few examples of some solutions reporting, and we were talking earlier about how Ebola was stopped. This is a story, okay, I'm not doing anything. This is a story reported by The Economist, but a few other newsrooms reported it, and it's really interesting, and I like this story for two reasons. The first reason it's that if all the newsrooms reported that story and the sound of that story was really broad, then maybe some countries would have benefited from the lessons learned in Nigeria and could have reacted more efficiently to the Ebola outbreak. But it's also an interesting story because the Nigeria example is a bit particular. How Nigeria stopped Ebola, well, there are a few reasons, and some reasons were a good political program implemented really fastly, based on communication on who contracted the virus. But it was also possible because lots of money came from the US really quickly, and because one person was contaminated, arrived to the country, and it was really easy to track him. So it's interesting as a journalist because you have first a response that worked and that could benefit to others, but also because you have a particular context and you have to explain to your public that the context was particular so they can learn the best of it. Another example, well, we just said it, how Germany is dealing with 1.2 billion refugees in 2 years' time. As you said, it's a complex question and it's a complex answer. But still, it's interesting to know how Germany is trying to put kids arriving to the country back to school in a 3 weeks' time, how they are dealing with housing these refugees and what they are implementing to do so. Also, which quotas cities received on how much refugee they should welcome. We could all learn from that.
I was just going to say, look at the subhead there. Think of the coverage in 2014, and then look at that subhead. It seems to be managing. It's doing okay. There are some issues.
Probably not perfect, but seems to be managing. Another interesting story, maybe if there are Italians in the room, is this story is from Cityscope, and it's looking at how Italy responded to earthquakes differently in different cities, and how sometimes it failed, sometimes it succeeded, but anyway, it's a good lesson to learn.
So one thing we always start out with when we're talking about solutions journalism is what we're not talking about. And these are not bad forms of journalism. They're just not what we're talking about when we talk about solutions journalism. Take, for example, stories, we call them hero worship stories. These are stories that really focus on an individual and the good things they're doing, not looking too critically at what they're doing. Maybe they're a finance person on Wall Street and they moved to sub-Saharan Africa. Isn't that wonderful? They started an organization. But it's not looking at whether that organization is actually successful, if it's actually having impact. Solutions journalism stories can use characters. They are compelling stories, of course. And they're just talking about the process, the response, not so much the individual. So this headline's from the New York Times. It looks like it's a hero worship story. It looks like it's about this one doctor who survived Ebola, and now he's fighting to keep it from spreading, but he actually wasn't mentioned until about a third of the way into the story. And it's looking at the policies that he implemented in his clinic to prevent the spread while they were dealing with Ebola patients. And it's a fantastic kind of how-to of how other clinics might learn from this example. Solutions journalism stories are talking about insanely complex problems, and the responses are equally complex, and they will never be solved by one program. As you mentioned, it's coming from many angles to look at how to respond to this problem. It's not one problem. And so it will never certainly be addressed by one story. If you can see the lead in the story, it says sometimes a soccer ball is more than just a ball. Sometimes it's a lifesaver. So we would not go for that one. Tone down the rhetoric. What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So this is a story about recess. It's hard times for recess, so a lot of schools in the US at least are cutting it, not finding it valuable, but there are some success stories where kids are actually learning better when they have it. Favor for a friend. So these are essentially regurgitated press releases. This is a great organization. They're doing great things. If you read the lead, the idea was genius, really. Not talking about that either. Focusing on the pros and the cons, always including a caveat to these stories. Where is it falling short? Philadelphia is the first city in the United States to implement a soda tax, taxing soda to reduce the problem of obesity in the United States. And it's working. People are drinking less soda because it's more expensive, which means that soda companies are producing less soda, which means they need fewer employees, and so they're actually cutting jobs. That's an important kind of cause and effect.
So solutions journalism is not a theory, which means it's not advocating in the media for something that does not yet exist. It's looking at news, and news in solutions journalism is on today how people respond to problem and what already exists. So it's something already in the process with some results and evidence. And we have, on one side, using the media to promote adolescent well-being and how to do it. And on the other hand, Iceland, who has efficiently fought teen drinking and drug abuse, and reporting on how concretely they did it and what is the evidence. It's not an afterthought. This is a 2-hour documentary on prisons in America, and at the end, well, just exploring the problem of prisons in America, and at the end you have a 6 minutes, oh, by the way, there are solutions to it, but we just don't take the time to explore it. Instead, it should be a core part of the story. So, for example, you can have a reporting on how Finland, but I know Sweden is also trying this, are trying to put inmates in non-prison and living in villages with other inhabitants. It has pros and cons, but it's real reporting on how they do it. It can be also a lasting series. You can have first an investigation about a problem and do the same room to an investigation about a solution. It's not activism. That means you're not campaigning for one solution rather than another, and you're not suggesting your audience that the solution is better than the other one, because you don't know if, well, it's not perfect anyway, and you don't know if it will last in the time. Instead, it's really reporting on responses to problem. So on one side, you have a company that launches campaign to tackle food waste. That's campaigning for one specific solution. And on the other side, you have how a country tries to tackle a problem, and which is food waste. It's not fluff, which is, you know, these feel-good stories that we have during Christmas, so at the end of the day in the news, just to make you feel better after all this bad news. So it can be a cat that saved a baby life, or a dog that, I don't know, cute, yeah. But if you insist on having cuties in your news, then you can actually report on how animals can have a positive impact on, for example, students. We wanted to make it a joke, but we actually did it. So we should have designed this slide. We insist that solutions journalism is a practice, not a movement, and an evolution, not a revolution. What does that mean? That means it's a tool that a journalist can use when appropriate, as investigation can be. And it's not a revolution because we don't want to change the media landscape. We want just to add new topics, a new way of covering, but not changing the tone of the media to make it positive. It's not the idea. Instead, what is solutions journalism? We thought that if you can collect 4 elements to ensure your reporting on solutions and to make it objective, you have to follow these 4 points. At first, covers a response to a problem and how it happened. That means you really have to explain how concretely a response is addressing a problem. And by doing so, you also have to underline the emergency of this problem. You should not just tune out the problem, because the response itself is explaining a tiny slice of this problem and make you understand it better. It provides evidence of impact. It's not just inspiring. You have to give real results, and it can be qualitative or quantitative, but you have to prove that the solution is working. And you can actually decide to do a solution story about a failure, as long as you can listen from that. It produces insight that can help others respond to. That means you explain the response enough so that the people who would face the same problem could use these details to do so. But it's also a way to give a new key of understanding of that problem. Because often when a solution is working, that means at the beginning, someone understood the problem differently than we all did at the first place. So it gives you this new insight and comparison of the problem by giving the solutions. And this is really important. It points out limits, risks, and challenges, because there is always something not perfect. We are not afraid of imperfections. We believe imperfections are great and make the solutions more credible. So it's really important to report them.
Okay, you get to talk again. 2 minutes. What is one story that you've covered, whether it's reporting or editing, that you could have done a solutions angle to but didn't? Find a partner. What was it? Oh, okay. Oh, really? Oh, okay, okay. We'll stay away. All right. Allora, would anyone like to share? Anyone like to share a story that really would have benefited from a solutions angle? Poverty, violence, climate, environment, tourism, journalism conferences? No, okay. Here we go. Who saw the movie Spotlight? So Marty Baron was the editor of the Boston Globe at the time, as you guys know, and is currently the editor of the Washington Post. And this is what Marty Baron thinks journalism is. And this is what a lot of people, frankly, think journalism, the role of journalism. This is what we do. After the release of the movie Spotlight, I was often asked how we at the Boston Globe are willing to take on the most powerful institution in New England and among the most powerful in the world, the Catholic Church. The question really mystifies me, especially when it comes from journalists or those who hope to enter the profession, because holding the most powerful to account is what we are supposed to do. Spotlight was journalism working. Spotlight was journalism working. A couple other examples of journalism kind of working. I don't know so much for the FIFA. But journalism, especially investigative journalism, has particular impact when it's about a bad behavior needing to stop. That's a theory, that's not a fact, and feel free to say that's not true at all. But when you're talking about political corruption or football corruption, it's about bad behavior needing to stop. But when you're doing reporting ad nauseum on broken systems, doing that 100th story or that 1,000th story on a broken school system or pollution in your city, it's not about one person needing to make a change or a few people. It's about whole systems that need to be reimagined. So here's an example of that.
Yes, so investigative reporting allows to highlight a problem, but once this problem is known by everybody, and maybe there is some frustration starting because people don't know what to do about it. And we believe that it would be more complete if journalists also highlight solutions to that problem, possible solutions. Not advocating for solutions, but possible. And that's an example I really like. It's the Cleveland Plain Dealer in the US. They were dealing with lead poisoning in the city. You know, lead in the paintings that affects particularly kids and pregnant women. And so at first, of course, as a journalist, you have to be the watchdog. You have to inform people about that problem. But when you do it for decades, and you still have that problem of lead poisoning, then what are you doing? People just stop listening. They stop reading, because they know there is a problem, but they don't know what can be done about it. Then we think a journalist can turn into a guide dog, highlighting possible solutions. And what the Cleveland Plain Dealer did was first reporting precisely on the problem. That's the city of Cleveland with the state of the lead poisoning in the city. And by doing that, they understood that, of course, minorities were the most affected. So people with facing poverty were more affected than people in richer area. After doing this, they started to look at other cities with the same background and the same problems, and how they addressed this problem, how the municipality, how the organization, how the citizens responded to that problem. And they took each measure and tried to understand how it was working. Then they compared the measure taken in successful cities with Cleveland. And for example, the inspection of home, where in successful cities happening before children were poisoned, and in Cleveland it was systematically after. They took all these measures and looked at what was done wrong in Cleveland. And that, after doing this, it led to the conclusion that Rochester, another city in the US, was particularly doing good in addressing that problem. So they decided to do a long report, a long investigation on how Rochester did it, and how Cleveland could learn from this, and how it was possible or not possible to do the same in Cleveland. The impact of this story was that first, Cleveland's health department director and 3 or 4 deputy commissioners fired or resigned. City lead inspection staff rose from 3 to 7. City passed plan that proactively inspects rental homes for first time, modeled on program highlighted in this series. States threatened the city unless it complied with the list of reforms, and published a list of banned homes. As you can see, a solution story, when it's done really good, can have the same impact as a long investigative story. And after 2 years, the Cleveland Plain Dealer decided to make a report on the progress that have been made and the progress that still needed to be done. That was in last October, actually. That's another story.
So the Seattle Times is our longest running partnership. It's now in its 5th year. And it reports on solutions to problems in public education in the Pacific Northwest. So Seattle, Oregon, Idaho, but particularly Washington. Their 3rd year, they focused deeply on early childhood education and school discipline. So how can we discipline children without expelling them or suspending them? How does that process work? They highlighted a success story in Eastern Washington where instead of suspending or expelling students for being truant, for not showing up for class, they would make them report to a community truancy board. And this was a board made of community members, and they had to say, basically what was going on at home and what the issue might be. And highlighting this success story, a few months after the story came out, the Washington State Legislature mandated every school district in the state implement one of these, which is phenomenal impact. So the point, going back to that accountability argument, journalists hold power to account. Solutions journalism, we think, can enhance that role by showing what is possible, by showing that someone else has already effectively responded to a problem. You're showing that it takes away their excuses for inaction, people in power. Oh, we can't do anything, our school system's broken, our air is polluted, name the problem, and you're saying, but they're doing it, and they're doing it, and they're doing it, so why can't we? So the Seattle Times Education Lab surveyed their regular readers of Education Lab stories, found that 62% of EdLab readers agreed that the story changes the way they think about a particular topic. 50% of parents and 84% of educators said they were likely to talk to someone else about EdLab. 102% increase in page views. 180% time on page. 230% increase in social shares. And a 64% returning Education Lab user, which is pretty powerful. This is another story. This was a year-long investigation at the Chattanooga Times Free Press looking at the growing economy of Chattanooga in Tennessee, but there was also growing income inequality. And so the reporter Joan McLean looked at how different entities in the city were responding to that problems of income inequality. And it was nominated for a Pulitzer. Time on page was up 3 times, 300%. Both the editor and the reporter have reached out to us and said this has, people were willing to talk that hadn't been willing to talk before. The city responded differently to the whole reporting process because of the frame. Reentry Project is an 18 newsroom collaborative in Philadelphia looking at the issue of reentry. So after people get out of prison, what are their options? What is the recidivism rate? How do they cycle through? How can we support them so they don't end up back in prison? It's coming to the end of its first year, and they're actually staying as a collaborative and called Resolve Philly, and they'll be tackling issues of economic injustice or economic justice this upcoming year. I'll skip that.
So we're often asked when to do solutions journalism. And I often answer, well, if we are tired of the negative news, why won't we be tired of the positive news? We don't want to do positive news. We want to do reporting on solutions that we can learn from. So we came up with this to ask yourself when it's pertinent to do solutions journalism or not. Well, first of all, is there a lack of awareness about the problem? If yes, then traditional journalism exposing the problem is probably the best way. If no, then ask yourself, is there awareness of potential responses, and is the conversation going anywhere anymore? Well, if no, sustained pressure to hold decision, making makers accountable, and if yes, then you can consider solutions journalism, which means you first have to have awareness about the problem and then have a lack of information about potential responses. Then what question, if you do consider doing solutions journalism, that's your conclusion, you think, okay, on this topic, it would be helpful to have some responses, then what question should I ask myself as a reporter?
If you remember one thing from this presentation, remember this question.
Write it on a post-it. Who is doing better? That means facing the same problem and, well, if possible in the same context, who is doing better than my community that I could learn from? And then you start looking for possible solutions. So where might you find these stories? Well, think tanks, policy experts can help you identify possible reflection on that problem and possible solutions. Academic experts also, because they have a real knowledge of the specific problem you're trying to address. Large data sets, when you do investigative reporting, you find data that will help you prove the problem. And in solutions journalism, it's often the other way around. It's the data that tells you where is the solutions. Because maybe you will have a green light somewhere in the statistics telling you there is something happening here, because they have 1 million refugees and they are maybe managing it. People involved in implementation, that's really important. Don't just go see the people that thought the solution at the first place, but the people really implementing it. People involved in the problem, of course, networks of innovators, they are really great place to find solutions. Program officers and foundations, because they are specialists in one topic, and it's really interesting to hear them about programs that they don't actually finance. Hold up a mirror to your own life, because if you're facing a problem and probably another community is facing too, maybe they did find a solution. And our solution story tracker, which is a database of more than 3,000 solution stories that we collected, and that you can search by either issue area, success factor, location, author, type of medium, what else?
The scope of a problem, if you're talking about looking at the scope of the response. So a city-based response, a national response, an international response, you can really narrow it down to what's most appropriate for your community and your audience. Okay.
You have that.
So again, Solutions Journalism Network was founded in 2013 by 2 New York Times journalists, David Bornstein and Tina Rosenberg. They'd been reporting the Fixes column for several years, and were getting such a great response from these solutions journalism stories that they decided to form an organization to create a methodology around how to do solutions journalism in the most rigorous and impactful way. We've trained over 200 journalism organizations around the world, over 10,000 journalists. We have J-School curriculum, we do newsroom trainings, we have community events, we have toolkits and a lot of things online. So how to cover education from a solutions angle, how to cover violence, health. We have a toolkit in kind of the core curriculums in English, Spanish, Bahasa, Indonesian, and a lot more languages this year to come.
And it's free.
Yeah, so that's all we have for you today. We really appreciate you being here and listening to us, and we're happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks. Not to rain on the parade, but isn't there sometimes the danger that this kind of reporting might backfire? If I'm always reminded of we are doing it in a shitty way, and there's somebody else who's doing it so much better, and the solution is so obvious, and still the solutions are not adopted in my country or in my hometown. Doesn't that lead, isn't there a possibility at least that this leads to a feeling of frustration after a while? I ask also because in my Facebook feed I see a lot of videos from Attention. They do a lot of these videos like, oh, the American school system is crap, look at how Germany is doing or how Finland is doing. So they always find some other country that is heaven on earth and just do it like them, you stupid fuckers. But then you go back to your own life, and those solutions are not implemented, and often it's not easy. So I wonder, isn't that like, you know, dangling the sausage in front of the people all the time, and they don't get to eat it?
It's funny you say that, because in France, where I live, we always have, okay, look at Germany, who is doing so much better than you. So I understand your question. But we are not trying to report on how, look, they are doing much better and we are not dealing with it properly. Where it's interesting as a journalist to also acknowledge the context behind it. It's just an interesting story to know why a country is doing better or maybe not doing better, it's just doing something, and you can just have lessons from it. Maybe you will not do the same in your country, but at least you will have this new knowledge that this is possible. Maybe you won't do it, but it's a possibility. I think it gives just a complete picture of the world we live in. Because if you just talk about the problem and you make people feel like there are only problems, no one trying to resolve it, that's not true. It's incomplete and it's fake. So just as a journalist, have the possibility to say, okay, maybe I'll look somewhere else and see how they dealt with it.
And sometimes it's just a matter of having a good comparative. Comparing the U.S. to Finland isn't feasible. That's not a great. But what is a country? You know, what is an area? You wouldn't compare country to country in this case. You would compare, you know, some liberal bastion in the U.S. to Finland, and then that might be a better comparative. But and that's where actually filtering stories by scope can help. But if it has to be, you know, a city or a place that is similar enough with similar contexts so that it's more feasible for people in power to actually do something about it.
Okay, so you talked about the importance of covering both pros and cons in solutions journalism. Now, if we take solutions journalism as a solutions story, what are the cons? Because you've talked about the pros. Is there any area that would be that we should be wary of?
When's the last time any of you got a tip in your newsroom saying, my public school is really working well? Like, you don't hear about these stories. If something works, you just, you know, you expect it, and something our founder says is problems scream and solutions whisper. It's hard when people are discomfort, you know, or it's something that's not functioning, they're very loud about it. And so I think that might be one thing, which is why we give a list of places to find it and why we have the tracker to say, look, there is all this stuff going on. But I think it's about, you know, you have to identify the problem in your community first, and identifying the problem can actually help you look at where it might be. So that might be something that takes a little bit more time than traditional investigative journalism, where it's really maybe in your face. And these stories take a little bit more time to do, I think.
Hi, I'm Ricardo from Colombia, and as a matter of fact, we are starting a project on solutions journalism this year. But we have seen, I mean, and we started to work on this idea a long time ago. We took it from some partners in Brazil, from the ANDI, the Agência de Notícias dos Direitos da Infância. They were talking about this in 2000, which I thought was very interesting. But since then and up until now, we always find a lot of resistance, especially from hardcore investigative journalists. They are always afraid that this will go when the things that these are not, as you explain well. So I was wondering, after all you give them all these arguments, what are the other strong arguments you bring to people that are like, well, we don't trust this, and we think this is another fad, or in Latin America we talk about the journalism with adjectives. You always talk about solutions journalism, all these kinds of adjectives to the word journalism, and there are some people saying this is journalism simply, and that's it. So I was wondering, how have you deal with this resistance in some of the newsrooms?
You mind if I take it? First of all, we're releasing a toolkit this year on solutions and investigations, how to integrate a solutions component into investigations from the beginning. Also, Nina and I were talking about different forms of resistance we face. I do trainings mostly in the US, and she does them mostly in Europe. And there's, I think, a different level. There is less skepticism now in the US because we've been around for a few years, really trying to build legitimacy around the concept and highlight rigorous evidence-based stories that, are the counterpoint to maybe what your colleagues think this is. And Nina was saying that she thinks those are exactly the kind of people we want doing solutions journalism, the ones that are very skeptical, and bringing that same skeptical approach to reporting on a solution, and not just taking the organization's word for it. But so they tell me we've had 20% decrease in X bad thing over 2 years, like talking to everyone, and it's really just digging into the numbers. And if you kind of look at the rigor of the story tracker and the stories behind it, we've had a less hard time convincing people. Often it just has, it's more accepted now.
I actually like it when people are resistant. I really like it because I found out that the most skeptical people that are in my workshops are the best ones doing solutions journalism, because they do it so seriously. And I think there is a human natural behavior when reporting on solutions. We tend to be nice, and you can't blame people for that, because when you're getting interested in how some people try to fix things, you don't want to blame them. But when you do solutions journalism with the same rigor you would do investigative journalism, then it's becoming so good that it's taken seriously. So I would say just let's try to make it seriously, and you will see that people will love it. But also I think we have good feedback from the newsrooms that tried. They have more time spent on page, and they have more shared articles and these kind of also arguments.
And also point them to Tina Rosenberg's work. She's the most rigorous journalist I know, and she founded this organization. So. We are, there's a lot of demand from African countries. We did trainings in Eastern Africa last month. So that's happening, and it's kind of popping up everywhere. We're just trying to equip media entrepreneurs with the resources to do it rigorously.
I mean, there's a lot of talk was a lot of talk in the old days that journalists were all thinking that bad news is good news, and we can sell it, so we need to find a problem, and if we focus on that problem, the story sells itself. Right now, we see a lot of data proving the fact that the audience is super tired of getting only problems, and that the world is such a bad place, and it's only terror and crisis and all of that. So, and your examples prove very nicely that it is actually a selling proposition to focus on solutions. And what I don't get is why you are not selling this much stronger and harder, instead of saying, well, we try to slowly implement this. If what many media professionals are looking for is revenues, then this could be a revenue driver. And I think it is, because it shows, I work for public media, so we focus very much on solution, and we try to always combine the problem with some solution-oriented approach. And yes, we struggle, and yes, we fail, and we keep on forgetting that maybe, you know, we need to follow up on stories. So we do the same thing here. So I'm wondering, why don't you push this a little bit harder, or do you work together with constructive news, which is you know, I'm sure you're aware of that concept here in Europe, which is pushing really hard to bring that change to the newsroom, instead of having it as some idea that hopefully sort of lands sometime.
Yeah. Well, we are working with the Constructive Journalism Institute, and in Denmark, we are trying to put our efforts together. But one thing which is important, you can't force a newsroom or a journalist to do solutions journalism, because if you do so, it won't be done seriously. It will be like, okay, I have to cover a solution. What will I do? Oh, this initiative sounds nice. I'll do that in 5 minutes. You really have to understand what we want to do to make it in a perfect way, kind of.
Well, sorry, if I don't want to get too much into this, but I mean, in the end, it's the editor-in-chief or someone who is in charge of the editorial strategies. And if they say, "Fine, let's not focus so much on the problem. Tell me what the solution is." It's all about storytelling. Let's tell the story differently instead of doing the same story again and again and again. And they all tell the same story. Let's not ask, "What did we miss? Why did we miss that story? The others had it." Well, that's fine. Let the others have that story. Why don't we focus on a different story? And that is an editorial policy, an editorial strategy. So I would rather disagree. I think you need to reach those who are in charge of these strategies, and they have to roll this out. Otherwise, we'll have same, no different.
We are in the US. Nina is our sole representative in Europe. If anyone needs anything from Nina, she works 10 hours a week and does all this. We've trained over 200 organizations, and 135 of those are regularly producing it. So they've integrated it somewhat into their editorial strategy. And to your point about the choice of what you cover, I just want to draw attention to the amazing and wonderful De correspondent. Everything they do is amazing, and every choice they make is amazing. And their choice to not cover the attack at the Brussels airport, and they put a letter up. They said, "We're not going to cover this. This isn't our strength. Other people can do this better. We'll be back and report on this in the coming weeks and months." But we're just going to. Yes. Do you have a response or?
That actually ties into another thought I had. You had some examples of catastrophe journalism, earthquake, terror attack, shooting, blah blah blah. In your experience, when would be a good point in time for solutions-based journalists to enter there with this approach? Like, what could have been done better? Because we know this phenomenon. There is a shooting, and then political parties come on the scene. This could have been prevented if only ... And then the accusation always is, are you exploiting this tragedy for your own thing? So when is there a moment when you can start talking about what could have been done different? I mean, the body's not even cold and you start discussing solutions.
You have to feel it out. You can't come in too soon. You just have to sense what the timing is. I can't tell you a right answer to that. But yeah, that's something to be questioned.
I think you could also feel when your readers or your audience is getting tired of a topic because it's problem-oriented. And you can feel that maybe soon they will stop reading about this problem. That's, I think, a good time to talk about solutions.
Thank you very much. Question is about, I disagree with you, like you can't force. I agree with you can't force, but it's not about forcing people. It's actually reminding them about their responsibility, because the solution journalism is not a new concept or something. If you forget the concept of social responsibility theory, so it demands that the journalist should be responsible about the reporting and everything. Like if the journalist are reporting about a health issue or the suicide case or mental health problem, So he should mention at the end of the story that if you see the symptoms of these kind of symptoms, so you can contact with these health centers, or you can contact with your family members or something. But if you are just explaining that how did he committed suicide, what is the method, what is the picture and everything, that's the problem. But if you forget your responsibility as a journalist, so it means then you need a solution journalism. If you are willing, if you really know what is your responsibility, then you don't need any solution journalism or something like this. Because the journalists, most of the journalists, they have forgotten or whatever the editorial policy or whatever they do, they actually do not provide the other angle of the story. That's why today we are talking about the solution journalism. Because I have conducted a research about how journalists, especially health reporters, cover suicide cases. So I analyzed 6 newspapers, and all of them are not aware that if there are any ethical guidelines how to cover them, because they cannot provide the solutions. If they don't know, they can't provide any solution. So if they know and they really know that their responsibility, then they can provide the solutions. And then at the end, if they really keep their responsibility in the journalism, then we don't need a solution journalism.
No, I agree. I mean, we are promoting solutions journalism. That's actually why we're here. I was just saying that forcing newsrooms to do so by just having a little presentation and saying, okay, you should cover solutions, and then go, and not taking the time to explain how to do it seriously. And this takes time, and this take resources and meetings and talks. In that way I was saying you can't force, but of course we have to promote it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a good night.